Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the RevLimit Workshop 250 from the Paperclip Martinsville Raceway here tonight for the Elite Racing Network and the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. My name is David Westergreen. I will be joined tonight by our producer, David Huckleberry, and our announcer, Zach Evans. And Zach, as we transition to Martinsville, another potentially chaotic race after the action-packed Atlanta last week. Take me through what you expect to see tonight, other than what is likely going to be a lot of caution flags.
Well, I mean, that's unfortunately probably the big one we saw, certainly with the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series on Sunday evening. That was a caution-filled affair. We have 50 more laps on the schedule for tonight. Hopefully a few more green flag laps than we saw on Sunday night. But the racing is tight and physical typically here at Martinsville. And this time we're not under the lights. The sun is out. The track temp's going to be much warmer than it was on Sunday. And that's going to challenge these drivers as well.
Yeah, I think we might see some loss of control tallies on top of the to be expected contact tallies that we'll be seeing tonight at Martinsville Speedway. And, we'll take a look at the point standings really quick to line you guys up on, catch you guys up on what has been occurring in this regular season. Ethan Stanley and Ethan Burrell have been the dominant cars, and just as they are here, they, I believe, are going to start this race 1 and 3, although reversed. But Tyler Fode, currently splitting them in second with a good number of points as well. And this championship format will take 14 drivers. If you are a race winner outside that top 14, you would get preference if you were in the top 25 in points. And I believe last week's winner, Justin Vandermarl, is going to have some work to do in order to get into the top 14. It has. Get our graphics going as soon as we can, but we can let you know that Ethan Burrell is on the pole for tonight's race. Starting second will be Gavin Hibbs in the Shifty Sports 95 car. Ethan Stanley will be starting third for Lake Norman Motorsports. David Tooker starts to his outside. Row 3 is Justin Wadsworth and Trey Holmes. Row 4 will be Ryan Scholda and Tyler Fode. Row 5, Johnny Thomas and Ty McIntosh, who has power once again after Hurricane Helene. Row 6 will be Jordan Owens and Chad Frankenfield.
On the 7th row, it'll be Justin Fortner and Nick Massey. Behind that, Darren Staff and Andrew Rucker. Row 9, Richie Hearn, Tate Lytle. A little bit of a lower starting position than we normally see from Lytle in car 56. Jonathan Cutlip, Scott Crump lining up on row number 10. The 11th row will be Jesse Racimus and Ryan Gable. And then your 12th row consists of Zach Rogers and Ray Bracey.
Row 13 will be Chris Wright and Matthew Weeks. Row 14, last week's winner Justin Vandermarl alongside Seth Rawls. Row 15 is Leighton Norgard, last night's ARCA Series champion, and Michael Hosack, his runner-up. In that series, they tied in points too. We'll talk about that a little bit tonight during those caution flags, I'm sure. Behind Hosack, it's Josh Clark, Kyle Hanshaw, Josh Personette, Brent Jones, Dusty Dewar, and Carlos Acosta to round out the top 36. And then I'll just quickly finish off our field here tonight. Marker Bilas will start 37th. Michael Goodman will start 38th. Casey Hatch 39th. Josh Robin will go from 40th, and Nick Indelicato will start dead last, 41st.
Getting ready for 250 laps here at Martinsville. There you see the field getting the 1 lap to green.
Our Ethan dominance continues. Ethan Burrell on the pole, Ethan Stanley in second. Those guys have led a lot of laps this season. They've won a lot of races. Ethan Stanley winning Monday in the Grand National Series for Elite. So it's just been a year of the Ethans, and track position, very important here at Martinsville. Ethan Burrell's got that start tonight. It might be another Ethan night.
Josh Personette lost connection right before we go green here.
Good note. Pace car is off. Ethan Burrell bringing us to the start of the RevLimit Workshop 250, and he will step on the loud pedal. We are green at Martinsville. And for how long is the question? Ryan Scholda loose on the start. He and Johnny Thomas are going to run together into turn number 1.
Frankenfield are around.
And there they go. Chad Frankenfield, Tate Lytle around, Richie Hearn sideways. And around on the back straightaway. A bunch of carnage on lap 1, and that was what we feared. It looked like Ryan Schuld got the tires spinning there on the start of the race. And some guys were aware of that. Some guys weren't. We said some guys, go 3 and 4 wide. I think Jordan Owens piles it in here to Johnny Thomas, gets him up the racetrack, and then it's going to knock into Chad Frankenfield, and all those guys are going to go around.
And there you see Tate Lytle's got to get collected there, as well as, I'm not sure.
Darren Staff, I believe, is at 55.
I believe you're right.
And then I believe Scott Crump got into the spinning Lytle. And then Richie Hearn got into some shenanigans after the caution flag did come out. Owens pushes Thomas up into Chad. Massey fortunate to get around the outside. Rucker fortunate to get around the outside, but then it's Staff, Crump, and the others collected in this one.
No tally, the ruling from race control. And not to beat a certainly very wounded horse at this point. I won't say dead just yet. There are a few more races left before we wrap up this regular season. But you look back these last couple of weeks at some opportunities Chad Frankenfield has to be in a better position than he is in the points. This does not help in that regard.
No, it does not. He had been lamenting losing points over the course of the last week, and and we talked about the points situation already. We'll talk about that cut line a little bit more. Chad well below it at this point, and a spin at the start of the race, not of his own making, for what it's worth. He was in the highline minding his own business, but it being Martinsville just results in the chaos and shenanigans that we've come to expect, and ultimately a bit frustrating for Chad Frankenfield for sure, and he'll, I believe, struggle to get going. We've got a bunch of cars in front of the pace car here. I'm trying to dissect what's going on.
Well, this happens a lot with iRacing, as you know. Whenever there is a caution on the first lap, it tends to create some scoring issues with the system. I'm sure these guys are going to get moved around the pace car eventually, or told to go around the pace car.
Mm-hmm.
But that tends to happen when we get one of these early cautions.
One of those drivers back here, some of these guys were involved in the wreck, like Tate Lytle, but one of the guys that had kind of self-inflicted the damage on himself here is Nick Indelicato, that 10 car already well in the back of the field, one of the cars that did get trapped a lap down there, and he'll get the lap back, but he is going to be, half a lap down by the time this race goes green, having started last place. He's on another one of our drivers on the bubble, as we will get ready for restart number 2 after the first caution has ended. Ethan Burrell, Gavin Hibbs, and we'll be green once again here at Martinsville. Burrell on the loud pedal again, and into turn 1 we go. Can we get out of turn 2 for the first time?
And they're 3 wide coming out turn 2. They get settled down to 2 wide for now, and up front it's 2 cars breaking away. Of course, the 2 Ethans.
Yep, Ethan Burrell, Ethan Stanley through Gavin Hibbs, struggling mightily in that outside lane. He's back to 6th, battling with it with Trey Holmes on the inside, sporting the Shane Van Gisbergen colors there in the 88 car. David Hooker up to 4th. Justin Wadsworth has risen to 3rd in the early going of this race, and Tyler Fody on the attack underneath Gavin Hibbs behind Trey Holmes.
Wall in 3. That is Justin Fortner in the 26 car that has collected the outside wall in turn 3. That was a pretty head-on impact. I'm sure we'll get the replay here shortly from the Mark Mobilis 3 wide situation coming out of turn 2. Chris Wright on the inside, Ray Bracey in the middle, Justin Fortner on the outside. There's got to be a coming together there, and that's got to turn Fortner head on into the outside wall.
Not sure. I'm not sure what Ray can do there in the middle of the racetrack. It's a 3 wide situation. But we'll see what race control calls on this one. Maybe the blimp view will give us another angle. 3 wide at Martinsville is never going to work, though, right? I mean, And Chris Wright's holding on the bottom, raise up the track a little bit, but this might have started a little bit earlier too. I think the 26 car was a little bit on edge before, which has got them into this 3-wide situation. And yeah, you can see right here, he wiggles up the racetrack in turn 2, and that creates the bottleneck coming off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. It is going to go on Fortner.
All right.
No other contact there, but another caution, number 2 on the day. We had some betting over-unders on how many cautions would be featured in the RevLimit Workshop 250, Zach. I saw 18, I saw 25. I guess I'm curious what your thoughts are. You know, we saw how many cautions at Bristol? I think 16, which was the under.
Yeah, I was optimistic we'd hit the under at Bristol. I'm not as optimistic tonight. This is just such a different animal at Martinsville. I don't know that I've ever seen a clean league race at Martinsville, regardless of whether it's been here in Elite or other leagues or whatever the case may be. It's just something about this track that just tends to create a lot of cautions and a lot of issues. So,
yeah. And Fortner has appealed the tally, and I think that's probably a smart move. I don't know how much cause will be determined, and for the uninitiated, the tally system divvied by race control Robert Hill, that can be reviewed by a committee of admins, and they'll take a look at the video and vote whether or not they believe the tally should be warranted or not. Oftentimes those appealed tallies are overturned. It'll be a lot more difficult to overturn, say, a self-spin coming off the exit of a corner, for example, but a driver can appeal the tally, and if the tally is under appeal, then they would not be subject to race removal upon receipt of the second tally. Hopefully that's succinct enough to give everyone an idea of what these guys are thinking about as the pace car leaves the racetrack once again, and Ethan Burrell will lead us to the green flag for the 3rd time tonight. He's on the loud pedal. He's got Justin Wadsworth, Ethan Stanley right behind. Wadsworth and Stanley are the teammates side by side in turn 1.
Off of turn number 2, you watch the field make its way down the back stretch. Justin Wadsworth got a look to the inside of Ethan Stanley. That's a battle for second.
Yeah. Oh, around goes Nick Massey. And there's another caution. And Mark Urbilas is also spun on the front straightaway. I think we've made... Ooh,
and Nick Massey is just backed into... Was that Brent Jones?
It was Brent Jones. Well, I'm not sure how Nick got spun around here. I think he might have just wheel hopped it.
We'll take a look. Nobody's close to him here.
Yeah.
Just gets loose.
This car just loops on his own. And Nick Massey's a very solid, steady driver. That's a bit of a surprise. Mark Urbilas gets on the apron, the raised portion of this Martinsville Speedway, and loops it, and then Massey threw it in reverse and backed up straight into the 89 of Brent Jones here.
Tally to the 48 of Nick Massey for the self-spin. No real surprise there.
Surprised you don't get something for backing into somebody under caution.
Yeah, that
he might.
He may yet. It depends on how much damage is on the 89 car.
Yep.
But another caution flag?
I'm seeing the 89 with a meatball, so...
Wow. That may indeed be the other tally for Mr. Massey. Wow. Yeah, you know, we've seen it, I think, in this league and others in this elite racing. There's just a little bit of that eagerness to get backs pointed forward that I don't think these guys necessarily need to employ. You can wait for the field to clear by and back through and keep things clean. I think there's some awareness that does need to take place by the drivers at hand, and I've seen it in the races I've run in the truck series and the ARCA series. I've seen guys backing up into the racing line, and And once again, it strikes.
Will the field double up this time? Looks like it.
Very quick caution there. Nobody came to pit road, so we're able to speed along. The fourth restart of the day, after the third caution flag. I don't think they are doubled up, though. I think they're going to be one more lap.
No, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, lights are still on the pace car.
We had the downward view. I want to shout out Whiplash Cams. We'll get their ad read in later, but they are the ones providing these kind of camera angles that we've worked on, and we got that low shot of the guys coming to grid, and this shot of the car coming at you for these restarts. Now it's 1 to green.
Now it's 1 to green, and Chad Frankenfield is talking football, so that's how things are going so far at Martinsville.
Luckily for Chad, he's not talking baseball. The Phillies just got eliminated tonight. That's Chad's team.
Wow. Right. You just went right for the jugular there, didn't you?
Absolutely. He's been spun out. Phillies eliminated. Not a good night for Chad Frankenfield, but it might get better for him. We'll see. Pace car off for the fourth time. Ethan Burrell brings him to the restart zone. We are green once again. Burrell, Stanley, Wadsworth, Tooker, Holmes, and Hibbs, the top 6. Tyler Fody, Ty McIntosh, Ryan Scholden, Jordan Owens, the top 10.
Powering down the backstretch, you see once again Ethan Burrell able to get that good jump. Can we get a lap under green in the books?
Nope. No, we cannot. Chad Frankenfield looped it in turn 3. Oh, he did not bring out a caution. He got straightened out.
Johnny Thomas is around. That's the caution.
Oh.
I think Johnny Thomas may have clipped the curb trying to get around Chad Frankenfield. Something happened on the exit of 4 there that got him around. It may have been the curb. It may have been contact with another car. We'll get another look here. On the curb.
Yep, yeah. And then there it goes.
Yeah, when the rear end just got upset when he tried to dismount from that raised inner area. That used to be grass for years and years and years and years. Now it's paved over, but it still has that elevation above the curb to it, and that's kind of what upsets the 83 car. The 83 car.
Poor Chad, right? We just talked about him, and then he goes and gets it sideways in the middle of turn 3, and Casey Hatch helps straighten him out. No, it looks like a little bit of contact with Michael Goodman there.
Yeah.
Is the initial thing that gets Chad sideways. Dave, do we want to throw in our first sponsor break? They've run us up 4 cautions in the span of 25 laps. I'm curious if we want to get that started.
Sure can. We'll be right back.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Welcome back to Martinsville Raceway for the RevLimit Workshop 250. We are under our 4th caution period of the day. We, in the booth, will say you're joining us for a fun time of a lot of this evening, but hopefully these guys are able to calm it down and get us a few green flag laps in. I think we're at, 4.5 laps, 5 laps total of green flag racing so far?
Maybe.
Might be lucky if it's that many.
What, usually 5 laps per caution?
It is 5 laps per caution, so
6 miles. So 6 laps of green.
but that also means at least one of those 4 of those laps had a caution on them. So I think we've had 2 clean laps, if my math is correct there.
We have a sponsor for the clean lap.
Not here.
We should sell one, really.
It's the
Well, not
Whiplash
tonight,
clean lap cam.
Ethan Burrell continues to lead this race. Out to his outside remains Ethan Stanley. The Ethans even dominating here at Martinsville. Green flag about to come back out. And Burrell with the jump once again on the loud pedal. If we ever get any green flag laps in, I do want to mention this. Tyler Fode's 3 wide down to the inside of Trey Holmes on this restart. Ty McIntosh now out of the groove. He'll be 3 wide. And McIntosh bounced off the fence. Zach Rogers is in the wall. Caution's going to be out. And Rogers gets hit by Racimus.
They're still piling up.
No. And this one's going to go on Ty. Ty got out of the groove entering turn number 1 here.
See, right there. Here he gets out of shape, and that's going to be right in front of Andrew Rucker. And I guess that's
Zach Rogers in the car.
Zach Rogers that ends up getting into him. And then now I don't know why we're piling up for 97th here. Chad Frankenfield sailed it in there on somebody.
It was the car behind Jesse Racimus. That was the 55 of Darren Staff that piled Racimus into this.
Yeah, you've got Staff going into Racimus. Chad's not going much slower. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know it was a little late on the caution, but you have to see that's happening.
Yeah. Racimus down pit road. McIntosh does get the tally from race control here. Yeah,
I mean, maybe their view is obstructed. Maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I just can't imagine all those cars were able to get slowed down except for the guys running 35th.
I think we're going to be there's a lot of room to grow harsher than to say you saw some smoke here. Where was the, yeah.
I don't love that.
Well,
It was certainly the view was obstructed, but there were signs. There were signs. There were indications that maybe we should check up here. Chad even had more of a view.
Yeah. A remarkable start for the RevLimit Works Up 250. We're going to say it a lot and thanks to Robilus Photography for sponsoring the replay machine. We'll be getting a lot of use out of that one tonight.
This has got to be the best money Mark Revelis has ever spent right here tonight.
Mm-hmm. He's going to get his money's worth.
He's just hoping he can stay out of
here quite a lot. He's been involved in one of them so far, but old 99 is, or is he 96 now? Old 96 is, he's hanging out, 21st place. Not doing too shabby back there. I promise I would jump on the YouTube chat. Nobody's on the YouTube chat, but if you're watching.
Yeah, please chime in if you're watching. Give us something to talk about other than the wrecks. Golly.
We would love to throw out some names, throw out some shout-outs. Any further discussion?
To the 35 of McIntosh and ARCA brake warnings to the 15 of Frankenfield and the 55 of Staff. I don't think any surprising developments there.
Yep, and I'm curious what an ARCA brake warning gets you. Is your next ARCA brake warning an ARCA brake penalty, or I'm not sure if that works back to the tallies. Gets deleted from the Cup Series, actually. Ethan Burrell leads pace car off once again after our 5th caution of the night. Green flag is out. Burrell gets the jump once again. Let's see if we can keep it green for a couple of green flag laps here. That's what I ask.
I don't feel like we're asking for a lot, David, but here we go into turn 3. You see this side-by-side battle for second. Justin Wadsworth trying once again to break up the Ethan party. He just hasn't really had a chance. We keep wrecking before he gets a chance, and A little further back, you see Tyler Fody, David Tooker. This is a battle for 5th. Ethan Stanley is able to pull in front of Justin Wadsworth.
Yep. Scott Crump working on Trey Holmes just behind. A little bit further back, the guy moving forward is Jonathan Cutlip in that bright yellow number 5 car. He is working forward on the outside lane, making that outside work and kind of taking advantage of the stack-ups on the bottom. He bypassed Chris Wright doing this. He's working on Jordan Owens, trying to get into the top 10. That's where Andrew Rucker currently resides in 10th. And look at that, a couple of green flag laps. I'm proud.
Well, don't speak too soon. A little bit of a stack up there we saw going into turn 1, but everything stays orderly as Jordan Owens still trying to find a way around Jonathan Cutlip. That's a battle just outside the top 10. Rucker's in 10th in that 64 car, Cutlip 11th, Jordan Owens 12th as they run currently.
First right, trying that Jonathan Cutlip magic on the outside lane that he just got passed with. Trying to use that to get around Jordan Owens. It's not going to work this time. He falls in line behind the 16 car. Oh, Jordan might have overdrove turn 3 just a little bit, but for now, everybody able to keep things going. First battle on track, other than this one, is the 25 of Seth Rawls underneath the 7 of Ray Bracey, and looks like Ray backed out of it and gives the 20th spot to Mr. Rawls.
Further up, here you see Chris Wright again trying to make that second lane work to get around Jordan Owens. We were talking to Chris Wright a little bit before the race, and he said, you know, if we get some green flag running with the track temp being as high as it is, currently at 106 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the coolest it's been all day.
Dropped like 20 degrees.
It might open up that second lane, and certainly he's trying to make it work, but of course I've started saying that, and he's fallen back a little bit, and now Justin Vandermarl is trying to but we've got a caution out of turn 4. I see Dustin Dewar involved, Justin Fortner. I think Chad Frankenfield again.
Oh, Big Rack, they're wadded up here. The field is starting to stream by. This is the leaders are here. These guys need to get going. There goes Ethan Stanley. God, got Crump trying to go by, and these guys are in front of the whole field.
I did not see how that one started. We'll get a look at the Reveals Photography replay machine here. It looks like Fortner looking to the inside of Goody, but he kind of backs out of it.
Oh, it's way up in front. Dusty got into Nick and Delicato. Chad and Darren Staff involved in another wreck. Rabilis gets into it. Fortner then slides in and gets involved. Did Dusty hit the apron and come up the track there?
It was hard to tell from that angle, but it's certainly possible. It was a big jump to the right, and of course that leads to the collision from Frankenfield and Staff. Staff has a meatball from that. And then they're just going to kind of block the track and pile up here. No fun for anybody.
Fortner gets into it. Goody is kind of stuck there as well. Michael Goodman in the 44 car. Ultimately, this results in Dustin Dewar, Chad Frankenfield, and being put a lap down. Justin Fortner is put a second lap down. And I believe Darren Staff will go a couple of laps down while they fix the meatball on that 55 car. It hit the wall pretty hard.
And there you see kind of the field working its way around Fortner as he was trying to get his car pointed the right direction.
Funny because the caution flag happened on the complete other side of the track from our race leaders here, and they're going to come around and find the track completely blocked in front of them.
Remember in the old days when the leaders would have had to just race around that?
Yeah. It is situations like this that abandoning that rule was a big part of.
No, this is exactly why we got rid of racing back to the line, so nobody got T-boned at Mock Jesus after wrecking just before the start-finish line.
A funny outcome of this is that it looks like Justin Wadsworth's going to lose 4 spots for checking up for the wreck, which I do not like. iRacing a little bit inconsistent in its ruling on where cars are located at the time of caution. You can see Scott Crump picked up 3 spots just by choosing the lane that moved first on that wreck. That does bother me, but ultimately there's nothing Justin Wadsworth can really do about it. He's just going to be the victim of scoring here tonight, and he'll have to work his way back up from 6th.
And really nothing for Robert Hill and race control to do either, because if you start allowing for judgment calls, it would just be impossible to tell a whole field of drivers to not listen to what iRacing is telling them to do. But then it turns into, well, why'd you give him that call and didn't give me that? It would just be a bad deal. So tough break for Justin Wadsworth, but we still have 200 laps.
Yeah, and 6 cautions down in these 45 laps that we have run. Ethan Burrell off turn 4 into the restart zone and to the green flag once again. And he's now got 3 Lake Norman Chevys behind him, but, he's got 2 Lake Norman Chevys behind him now.
No!
Ethan Stanley, spun by Scott Crump. Team cars over at Lake Norman, and that is not the first time that Lake Norman Chevrolets have spun themselves entering turn 1 at Martinsville. I can promise you that. Ethan, I don't know if he tried to cover down. I mean, Scott was there.
Man, I'm interested to see how Robert rules this, but it looks to me like Ethan Stanley just trying to cover off that second spot. And Scott's below him. Those guys are in communication. You'd think, maybe they didn't properly communicate that. Scott does driving in pretty deep here, but
it's a pretty hefty send, but he wasn't. When you're restarting on the outside like that, I don't know if you can plan on getting to the bottom, especially with a teammate. If he didn't say going into the restart, I'll give you the bottom, I wouldn't plan on
having access to that. Yeah.
Having access to the bottom there. I'm not sure. It's a tough one.
And you and I have been teammates, restarting, next to each other in rows, and both opened up a lane and given each other room and not, and raced each other as teammates. And it's one of those things where you just can't assume you have that hole to drop down in. But I do want to note that that's not the first time. Damian Leininger and Ryan Gable, as Lake Norman Motorsports teammates a few years ago in this series, managed to wreck each other for the race lead with about 20 laps to go in a race they led every lap up. So it's not the first time that these Lake Norman cars have entangled each other entering turn 1 at Martinsville.
Huck, I need a ruling on a scale of 1 to 10. Where does that rank on the announcer jinx scale as far as Westergreen talking about those guys being teammates and then they immediately collide?
That's a hefty 9 at least. It was like, if anything, a half a second after he said the name.
He hadn't even finished saying the team name. And
I know it, yeah.
Valley to Scott Crump we saw.
Mm-hmm. And like we talked about, right, I think a little blame does have to go on Ethan Stanley there, but Scott was sending it in from pretty far back, and on his teammate no less. Just not a great move from Scott, but Scott is in a position where he really needs to win a race at this point. Stanley's a guy who's got 3 wins. He's got a lot of bonus points. He's leading, and Scott has appealed the tally. So if the 90 car makes any more contact, he would not be removed from the race.
Just to stir the silly season pot, negotiations are now underway with Ethan Stanley to move to Pro Edge.
He can. Yeah, that'll be.
Oh dear.
Be a good one. Worth noting that Brian Carrington is one of our Truck Series drivers is hanging out in the chat. He's waiting with bated breath to see if we get as many cautions in the 250 laps here in the Cup Series as they did on Sunday in the Truck Series. And Zach, your assumption of that was that it would be very similar, and I think I'm with both of you guys on this one.
I didn't have a good time Sunday.
Pace car off once again. Ethan Burrell, Scott Crump now the front row. David Hooker and Tyler Fody 3rd and 4th. The green flag is out. Hooker, a teammate to Ethan Burrell. Hopefully the Pro Edge guys don't wad it up here when I say that. 2 more Lake Norman Motorsports cars right behind Scott Crump, being Justin Wadsworth and Tyler Fody this time. Keep it off each other, guys. I know I said the team name. 3 wide behind him. Gavin Hibbs missed turn 3. Shouled by. Cutlip able to get by. Hibbs falling back here, but they're 3 wide entering turn 1 at Martinsville.
I don't know how well this is going to work. Gavin Hibbs in a really precarious spot, trying to find somewhere to get in line, but of course this field's got to keep rushing by, still outside of 3 wide, way up outside of the concrete in the corners. He might be able to get into that second lane now. He will, but look at all the position he has lost.
Yep, big mistake there by Gavin Hibbs, and look at how ferocious this field is. Very, very ruthless. By a bunch of these guys working towards the top 10 is now the battle up here for 5th place between Trey Holmes in the 88, Tyler Fody in the 40, Andrew Rucker just behind them looking on.
Andrew Rucker trying to figure out where to position his car once this battle sorts itself out. Right now, Holmes and Fody staying side by side as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. Drag race back to the start finish line, 56 laps in here at Martinsville.
Still side by side, Tyler Fody trying to hold on to that 5th place as much as he can out in front of Trey Holmes, and Andrew Rucker starting to think that he can maybe jump to that outside and make it work. I don't know if it's quite that simple. Tyler Fody, very strong defender that we talk about a lot in this Cup Series at defending his position, and right there defends off against Trey Holmes, keeps the 5th position intact for the 40 car, and keeps 3 Lake Norman Chevys inside the top 5. Could have had 4, but, well, you know. Back in the field a little bit, our ARCA champion and our ARCA runner-up are coming through the field pretty nicely together. Leighton Norgard and Michael Hosak started, 29th and 30th. They're now 12th and 13th and 14th respectively, and Norgard just went around Ryan Gable. Impressive little run for Michael Hosak and Leighton Norgard coming off of that ARCA Series championship last night. That thing was down to the wire. Those two tied in points after the full playoffs ended, and it came down to the tiebreaker of best finish, and Norgard beat out Michael Hosak in that one.
There you see this battle right around the 10th spot. Justin Vandermarl in 10th, Jordan Owens in 11th.
Just in front of those guys, you can see Hosak and Norgard just to the right of this. So they've come through the field into the top 10, and we have, I hate to curse it, but we've run a few laps under green here.
Now, why would you go and say something like that?
He's just asking for it.
I know. I'm just trying to see, how strong are my powers? You got to test them out. This whole group, though, single file, but not making any moves right now. The first side-by-side battle we had, Michael Goodman working around Kyle Hanshaw. Back in the field a little bit this spot. A battle for the 26th position, and up front, Ryan Gable and Matthew Weeks were side-by-side briefly. That has not resulted in anything, but I think Weeks might actually get after Gable here a little bit.
Oh, no. A tally to David Westergreen.
What did I do?
Don't do that, because if he gets a second one, he knows he's gone. So we don't want him out here.
I definitely don't want to call this race without him.
I appeal the tally.
Oh, good, he's out of shape.
Okay. Well,
I like that.
I'm going to blame that on you guys.
Okay. Nobody else got collected there. That's fortunate.
That one on me for putting the camera on him?
I think so. And we saw it happening live because we were watching Goody there. He had pulled away from Ty McIntosh a little bit, and just got a little bit hot, as Carlos Acosta would say, a little bit too much beans there coming off turn 4 from Michael Goodman, and loops the 44 car. I want to do a quick update on our cars a lap down. Chad Frankenfield was the first car 1 lap down. He will get the free pass right here. Other cars 1 lap down looking for that free pass in the future will be Dustin Dewar and Brent Jones. And I assume we'll give out both of those at some point in the near future. And once those two are given out, it'll be Justin Fortner, Ethan Stanley, Zach Roger hunting for lucky dogs after that. They are 2 or more laps down each. Beyond that, however, Josh Robin has retired from the race, joining Darren's staff as the only car off track at this point. This car's not looking so good either. Jesse Racimus has been
mashed into a couple of these wrecks, and that 70 car is not looking like it's angled properly there in the right front.
No, something is definitely
A miss.
askew there, a miss on the 70 machine.
Try to make sure we get in all our drivers here. Speak of everybody, especially the guys the lap down, because up front, I mean, you saw once this thing singled out, these guys are shifting. The way the next gen car runs on iRacing, a little bit similar in real life, and it's just very difficult to pass, very difficult to make a move. A lot of similar speed options for these guys up at the front, and it just makes things very difficult for them to put on a big time entertaining battle for the lead. They kind of just have to follow in line, and that is a big part of why you see the aggression you do on these restarts.
While we've got a moment, maybe work in one of our ad reads here.
I agree with that. Dave is muted.
All right, I started to talk and I was muted. So we'll do our race sponsor. How's that one? Our race sponsor tonight is RevLimit Workshop. The race is brought to you by RevLimit Workshop, your go-to for pulsating designs at unbeatable prices. Need a logo or promo? Get yours for just $5. Want a full racing scheme that stands out? It's only $15. Contact us on Twitter, also known as X, to get your premium custom scheme today. Series sponsor, Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Sports commentary via podcasts, forums, and articles on topics ranging to nearly every sport. Not your usual sports site. Check them out on X or at bellyupsports.com. Good for now.
That'll work.
We can spread them out tonight.
Yeah, the sponsors will be happy. They'll have to watch the whole race in order to get an idea of where their ad read is. We didn't just slap it on the one cockpit. Pace car off. Ethan Burrell has chosen the outside lane with teammate David Tooker restarting to his inside, and Burrell getting that big jump. He'll most certainly drop down in front of the 19 car here and lead his teammate through turn 1 and 2. He does exactly that, and it's Burrell, then Tooker battling with Justin Wadsworth. Wadsworth trying to utilize that outside lane to bypass Tooker and get into second place.
We talked about Wadsworth losing that ground on that one caution. He's made it back up. He's back up to the second position. Now he'll set his sights on Ethan Burrell and try to get to the lead here at Martinsville.
I'm getting some real Dover vibes. Ethan Burrell led every lap at Dover a few weeks back, and despite some restarts and despite some guys getting close to him, nobody could catch him in that race, and ultimately he led every lap en route to victory. And a lot of similar feels right now as Ethan Burrell continues to lead. He's led every one of our 71 laps so far tonight.
Ooh, little contact there from Justin Vandermarl and Jonathan Cutlip off turn 2, but they keep it going.
If you watched our broadcast last week, you'd know 80 car and the 5 car, both teammates. And Cutlip working well with Justin Vandermarl, trying to get him into the chase to make that win that he earned last week at Atlantic Town. As Leighton Norgard up the track, they're 3 wide at Martinsville.
Yeah, we'll see where Leighton... that's worked out about as well as it can. He's back down to 2 wide alongside Matthew Weeks. There only cost him a couple of spots, but definitely a moment there. And Casey Hatch is around in turn 4 in the 14 car.
That is the team owner over there at Fueled Up Racing.
Is also around with him. We'll see on the replay what happened here to Mr. Hatch. I believe he's going to slow down a little more than Michael Goodman was expecting for turn 3. So how does Brent Jones get collected in this, may I ask?
He might have bounced over the apron here.
Hit the curb and get out of shape. I think you're right, David. That's exactly what happened.
That thing is a nuisance. It has claimed Brent Jones and Johnny Thomas, a couple of guys who are usually pretty sure-handed at keeping the car going straight, and that is tally number 2 on Michael Goodman. That might be the end of Michael Goodman tonight. I don't know if he's going to be able to appeal either of those incidents.
Just listening in on the voice chat, Goody was getting some peer pressure to appeal. The response, I don't think it's worth it. So I believe Michael Goodman's going to call it a night in car number 44.
Dave, can we get another view of that? Maybe not another view, just another replay of that. Brent spinning it, I believe we are going to get Goody parking it and joining Darren Staff and Josh Robin off track. Brent like almost flipped over. The way he like spun up the track after bouncing off the curb, this car almost flips over. It gets a bunch of air.
We'll take a look here.
Here, the back end.
What in
off.
tarnation?
He's
What?
on 3, maybe 2.
Huh?
I don't understand how he did that.
Huh?
Brent Jones out here performing in the X Games.
Yeah, this is some Joey Chitwood stuff here.
Very, you know.
And now the camera is just very confused. There we go. It found.
So
the
am I.
right again.
I'm with you, camera. Look at that.
He had it
How
gassed
high
up.
the right side tires are, and they come down. That's crazy.
I also love that while the right rear tire is a solid 1.5 feet off the ground, somehow it's still producing tire smoke.
Love iRacing.
Residual
Love this
tire
game, man.
smoke.
What a great game.
Incredible simulation.
I've never seen a race car do that in Martinsville. I can tell you that.
Oh boy. I've seen some wild stuff at Martinsville. I've been to the late model race a few times. Boy howdy.
That's like a super speedway for the late models, right? Like one of the bigger tracks they go to.
And if you win the Valley Star Credit Union 300, you get the grandfather clock just like the Cup guys do. It's a happening.
Go see late models at Martinsville. That's lesson right there. They probably run more green flag laps than we do. Pace car is off. The lights on the pace car are off.
They do.
Yeah. And we've run quite a few pace laps tonight. 9 caution flags and 78 laps. We're pacing to match the total Brian Carrington described from the Sunday night race. Do want to correct myself. Brian Carrington runs ARCA and Xfinity for the Elite Racing League. Not a Truck Series driver, but he was paying attention there on Sunday. He's thinking it's a good place to compare, and I would agree with him. Pace car off. Ethan Burrell, Justin Wadsworth working against one another once again. And can Wadsworth fire off on time to stay with Ethan Burrell? The answer is no. 37 car out in front once again. Wadsworth up the outside of David Tooker, Burrell's teammate, and he's not going to be able to make that outside work this time to do anything but battle for that second spot with David Tooker.
And that's kind of been the curse for everyone so far tonight. Ethan Burrell just so good on those restarts. How are you going to be able to keep him from doing that and contending for this top spot? So far, nobody's had the answer. David Tooker getting around Justin Wadsworth to get back into the second position for now.
Just Trey Holmes into fourth around Scott Crump. Tyler Fody to the outside of Scott Crump looking for that. Michael Osak has just slammed to the outside wall in turn 3. 24 car, the ARCA runner-up. We've talked about him a good bit tonight. Had a very impressive ARCA season, but he's the subject of our 10th caution flag here tonight. Let's see what happened.
Into the back of the
Gavin a little bit on corner entry, and then got the same kind of looseness we saw from both Michael Goodman and Nick Massey, where that car just went around. Not entirely sure why Dusty Dewar and Josh Personette decided to try to go to the outside to go around him.
I think Dusty got loose on the brakes and then just kind of slid up the track, but still a little bit of an odd situation there for those two guys. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like right here you kind of see a wobble.
Yeah, wiggle. Yeah.
32. He was on the brakes, seeing the twin, because he had entered on the outside of, I believe that was Brent Jones, and I think he was trying to get on the brakes to duck in behind Brent Jones, and instead it locked up and walked up the racetrack on him.
Sure did. So, as we go on board with Dusty Dewar to walk into this wreck, I want to note that Scott Crump and Ryan Gable have come down pit road and belted on tires, put in fuel, and I'm willing to bet the two of them are anticipating not making another pit stop the rest of the way. In fact, I think they are going to be targeting trying to stay out when Ethan Burrell eventually does have to come down pit road.
Well, the remarkable thing with all the cautions we had on Sunday night in the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series race here, Matt Grunberg he was going to win the race without a single pit stop in 200 laps. There was just that one little hitch, jumped the final restart, got black flagged by the iRacing steward, ended up being penalized and finishing, I believe it was 24th instead. But if it weren't for that, he would have won a 200-lap race at Martinsville without ever visiting his pit crew.
And I kind of felt bad for him because everything was rushing because we were trying to get the end of the green flag.
I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it without making a pit stop. And then my question is, how long is it going to take? Right? I think Scott Crump could definitely use this to his advantage and potentially get back up to the front of the field and over the course of the next 100 laps or so, as some of these guys also decide to make that pit call. I don't think that Ethan Burrell necessarily will come down pit road anytime soon, but some of those guys behind him are going to think that maybe fresh tires and not pitting later in the race is a good way to make up some track position. And, ultimately, I think it'll scuffle Scott Crump and Ryan Gable forward, and by the end of the race, they might be right there. So we re-rack. It is Ethan Burrell, David Hooker, the race leaders there for Pro Edge Racing. Justin Wadsworth third, Trey Holmes fourth, Tyler Fody fifth. Burrell off turn 4. He gets to the restart zone, gets on the loud pedal. We are racing once again for the 11th time after our 10th caution of the night.
Watch the field make its way out of turn 2. Ethan Burrell.
Around
Johnny Thomas has gone around again. There you see him out of turn 2, trying to get the car pointed the right direction. We'll see what happened to Johnny. And I think he's got
that's teammate violence.
Kyle Hanshaw.
That is team-on-team violence right there. Another one.
Unfortunately, that time, Johnny Thomas picked up the meatball from the contact with the barrels protecting what used to be the backstretch pit wall here at Martinsville.
Tough for Johnny Thomas, and I don't know that there's anything he or Kyle Hanshaw can do in this situation. Just a matter of coming together, and I don't know that any communication is going to change the outcome there.
Tally awarded to Johnny Thomas in the 83.
Why don't we get another ad read in here during this yellow flag? If we've got a second, Dave.
All right. How about a premier sponsor, Blue Egg Marketing? Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri. It features a 1.25-mile oval that hosts the NASCAR Cup Series, the Craftsman Truck Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. They have a two-mile infield road course used by Speed Tour, Trans Am, SCCA, and the Porsche Club of America. There's a quarter-mile NHRA-sanctioned drag strip that hosts the annual NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Midwest Nationals event. And finally, they have the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. 4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D sim racing shoes are custom engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can and still provide all the comfort needed for those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the original racing gloves for your feet. Our sponsors tonight.
We done with the ad read? We might have to go back and double up.
Yeah. We got another ad we can play for Worldwide Technology. They gave us some new ones for next year.
We'll definitely have to get that one in. Maybe caution 14.
But David,
plan ahead.
what if we don't get to caution 14?
You can't say that, Dave. Because if I jinx it, I'm trying to jinx it the other way so we get some green flag laps in here. Pace car is off once again. Ethan Burrell, David Tooker on the front row once again. Justin Wadsworth up top behind Ethan Burrell. First time he's been in that situation behind the race leader. Green flag is out. Burrell and Tooker get on the loud pedal, and Wadsworth's going to have to fight back on the outside lane.
Watching the field work its way down. Big move to the outside there from Trey Holmes. He's now got to try to cut underneath. Justin Wadsworth couldn't quite, though.
Dusty Dewar up top, way falling back. Richie Hearn up top, falling back. They were all both 3 wide for a moment. The yellow
Justin
flag is out.
26 car around in turn 1. He is pulling away now.
I didn't see that one. Let's see what happened.
By the time I
break
saw
in.
him, he was already looking at oncoming traffic.
That's not what you want.
Forward.
I think it might actually be the 32 car. You see Dusty gets 3 wide, gets way out of the groove. Richie's that way out of the groove here on the outside, and they're going to run into each other a little bit. Oh, yeah, right there.
Right there. They were 3 wide. Hard to tell from that angle if some more room could have been afforded one way or the other. Oh, yeah. Justin's not getting a lot of room from Ethan Stanley on the inside. He probably could have managed a little better, but definitely a tight situation all around, especially catching a guy at a much lower rate of speed there from, like you say, Dusty being trapped on the outside.
He did get into Leighton Norgard a little bit, but it looks like Dusty's coming off the wall down the straightaway there.
That's a tough one for sure.
Worth noting that Fortner was 2 laps down right at that point. Dusty Dewar is technically in the lead lap here. So, I don't know, maybe the 32 hoping for a little more room from, the car that beneath him. I noticed Robert Hill hasn't made a call on that one yet. I'm not envious of that position. That's a difficult call to make. Some housekeeping notes. Ethan Stanley just got the lucky dog. He is now 1 lap down. Ray Bracey, Nick Indelicato, Matthew Weeks have all come down pit road following the Scott Crump and Ryan Gable strategy. Crump is up to 20th, Gable 23rd. And they're going to call it a racing deal.
So there you have the ruling. I think that's fair for what that was.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of 2 people making a move into each other. It is what it is. Part of why we have the racing deal option, and Robert Hill elects to press that button here. And I'm curious when will Ethan Burrell decide to make the move to pit road? Because the pacing we are on, you're only going to have to come down once. And Burrell can be thinking ahead here to this lap 125 stage point for sure. It's something that'll help him in his pursuit of a championship, which would be his first in the Elite Cup Series. But if he wants to win this race, I think you're going to have to come down before that. Because he's now going to be stacked behind about 7 or 8 guys that have already come down pit road who are going to stay out.
Martinsville strategy always makes my brain hurt.
I tend to think as soon as the window opens, and if you have to come down, you want to come down as soon as the window opens. It does put you at risk, right? Scott Crump and Ryan Gable are at risk, but they are going to be the leader once this all shakes out. Pace car is off once again after our 12th caution flag of the race. Green flag is out for Ethan Burrell, and there was a big check of Tyler Fode. He loses it. He takes out Justin Wadsworth. They are going to keep it straight, but
no, they're not. Oh,
Gable is the one who got hit.
No, they're not. Yep, no, they're not.
That was the second Lake Norman on Lake Norman crime of the evening, and it results in their teammate getting spun out of 23rd place. for the caution flag. Let's take a look at what happened to the leaders and take a look at what brought out the yellow. Tyler Fode spins the rear tires, trying to keep up with Ethan Burrell. It looked like when he shifted from second to third, that car just went right out from under him.
Yeah, right here's where the car jumps out, collects Justin Wadsworth.
And then they almost collect Jonathan Cutlip and then straighten him out. That's not the yellow flag. Neither of those instances were the yellow flag. The yellow flag was Ryan Gable getting spun into the inside wall. I just talked about how, it's a risk to put yourself back there. But if you do put yourself back there, you get the best chance to win the race. Scott Crump dodges this wreck. Ryan Gable is the one who gets wrecked.
Tally being issued to the 40 of Tyler Fode. We'll take a look at Ryan Gable's perspective of this restart.
He's gonna, he started to make a move on Mark Rabilis, and then that car jumped sideways on him, and he had to throw it into the inside wall to avoid taking out like 10 cars. Nick and Delicato, one of the cars that has to dodge this. And down pit road come both of the Lake Norman cars that got involved there on the front straightaway. Wadsworth and Fode, and Gavin Hibbs has also come down pit road. Gable started backing up, very similar to Nick Massey there.
There you see Tyler Fode making his way off pit road. Of course, the cars have to stop. Pit exit is closed. Now it's open. Now they roll. No repeat of the Bristol incident where we saw a couple of guys penalized for exiting a closed pit.
Yep. And they were, the Lake Norman guys had gone over that. That was part of the message in the pre-race was, hey, don't exit pit road. If it says pit road closed, you'll get a penalty.
That's a very common issue here at Martinsville.
Right.
Sure. It's of all the tracks on the Cup schedule, I'd say it's most frequent here.
And the front of the field now looks a whole lot different. As Ryan Gable, not the race leader, it will be that car behind Ethan Burrell in that 37 car. You've seen it all day. You know what it looks like. David Tooker, Trey Holmes, they've been up there all day. Ryan Field now running fourth. Andrew Rucker, who has been in the top 10 all day, is now running fifth. Justin Vandermeer, last week's winner, runs in sixth. Chris Wright runs in seventh. Jonathan Cutlip is eighth. He must not be concerned about sliding the tires, getting sideways on that last caution. Jordan Owens is up to ninth, and Nick Massey, who bended in the outside wall earlier, he's up to 10th. Chad Frankenfield's up to 11th. A lot of this passing is due to those guys not stopping. They just haven't pitted since the early part of the race. Now they're gaining track position because a lot of those guys back there with fresh tires can't really pass. Green flag is out up front. Ethan Burrell fires it off and gets in front of David Tooker. They are controlling the race. That are those Pro Edge Toyotas. Behind them, it's Trey Holmes. Ryan Schuld filters into fourth, and Andrew Rucker to fifth.
Behind Andrew Rucker, you see Justin Vandermeer in sixth, and then a side-by-side battle. Chris Wright to the inside of Jonathan Cutlip as they battle for the seventh position.
And then right behind them, you see Jordan Owens and Nick Massey. So two side-by-side battles right here on your screen. Owens is going to clear by the damaged car of Nick Massey. Chad Frankenfield's car also damaged, been in a couple of wrecks. That doesn't seem to matter right now. It's Martinsville. As long as your engine is running, the wheels on your car are rolling, you should be able to run it. And I saw some tire smoke up ahead. Didn't seem to bother these guys any. Jordan Owens passes Nick Massey. Chad Frankenfield looking to get into the top 10.
Yeah. Didn't see who it was, but obviously somebody locked up the brakes into turn one that time, but no harm, no foul. We watch on as now Scott Crump pulling to the inside of Nick Massey, but kind of had to hold up his momentum there in 1 and 2 with Chad Frankenfield ahead of him on the inside line.
I'll tell you who, I really do like the position Scott Crump is in right here. I don't think that 90 car has to pit again. I think he's done everything he needs to do. He's back into the top 10 of this race. He's working on Nick Massey for the 11th spot right now, but he's doing everything he can, and he's making passes. He's going to have some pace. As long as he doesn't get into anybody else, I think he'll be fine. We talked about Scott Crump quite a bit. Needs to win a race. That's a guy who's on a fairly long winless drought in this series.
And yeah, it would be big to get that win here at Martinsville. Certainly shaping up to make the most of a bad situation, but still 140 laps to go here at Martinsville. Plenty of time to see some more strategies develop or plot lines.
Michael Hosak's another car that has been in the wall recently, but he has found himself in the top 15 right now, doing a fairly good job. Hey, Lytle just doesn't appear to have a whole lot of pace tonight just behind these guys, and that 56 car is,
that was Scott Crump around.
And I am on an all-timer today. Check who the leader now of the cars on tires would be. I think it's going to be Matthew Weeks in the 11 car. Scott just gets it in way too hot up top, and he appealed that first DOL, or the first tally. This one will be fairly unappealable, and if he doesn't get that appeal overturned post race, he would get relegated from wherever he finishes to last place.
Yep. So, not to mention, if he has another incident where he would receive a tally, then it doesn't matter. You just get parked outright at that point. So, gotta hope the appeal goes his way. B, really has to be careful over these final 130 plus laps.
Yep. Jordan Owens on pit road, Chris Wright, Jonathan Cutlip all on pit road this time through. Well, I think it's actually caution 15. I think I maybe missed it by one. But Dave, after we've checked the replay of who headed down pit road, should we go ahead and roll the gateway ad here?
Sure, we can do that right now. Be right back.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the RevLimit Workshop 250. Ethan Burrell out in front. He will get to the restart zone to conclude our 14th caution of the night. And he gets the big time jump on David Tooker. Andrew Rucker now has joined the top 5. And he'll work to the outside of Trey Holmes there for that 3rd position. Behind them, it's Justin Vandermarl, last week's winner at Atlanta, and Chad Frankenfield, who's risen through the field to 6th.
Oh, Trey. Bumper tag there. They hang on to it, but definitely a tight little squeeze in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, big Big bump from Trey Holmes to David Tooker, but it worked out for both of them as Tooker gets through to second, Holmes through to third. Rucker will clear off for fourth, Vandermarl into fifth, Frankenfield into sixth. That's how they'll sit for now. And the battle back here, you're seeing it on your screen. It's Tate Lytle, Tyler Fody, Matthew Weeks. That's 3 cars that have already pitted in this race. And the leader of those, I would think, would be the de facto leader of the race once everybody who does eventually need to pit comes down pit road. Gavin Hibbs in that battle as well in the 95 car.
I believe.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's Nick Massey up against the wall there.
Not where you want to be. Tyler Fody in the middle of the racetrack. He's already got a tally. Oh, behind him, it's Josh Clark. Got spun out by, I think it was Scott Crump. It might be the end of the night for the 90 car.
Oh.
Boy, these guys love to back up in front of the field before it clears through.
I'll take a look here. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Now, let's see. Did Josh hit the curb and spin before?
No, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, I think that is going to go on Josh. I think he got in a little deep, wound up a little bit loose. This car, yeah, that car is starting to come around before Scott Crump ever gets there. Yeah. While we watch this, Trey Holmes, Andrew Rucker, Justin Vandermarl, Nick Massey all down pit road.
There you see Trey Holmes make his way down pit road.
And Trey's he's had a really good race so far. And remember, he finished second last week. Fueled Up Racing as a whole swept the podium last week. A very impressive showing by them. And Trey Holmes has come over to Martinsville and had another very impressive showing. And now he'll wreck, obviously, since I said that. But
yeah, of course.
This caution does award Ethan Burrell.
Oh, no.
He didn't cross the blue line.
I'm afraid the blue line is the one that matters.
Well, he only lost 2 spots. One of them was to his teammate.
Because you could see, and I don't know how visible it is from the cockpit, but we can see just to the, well, maybe. Yeah, just to the right. Well, it's off frame now. There is a red flashing light at pit exit that we could see for like 0.2 seconds in that camera angle. And yeah.
Trey Holmes will get the EOL for exiting a closed pit. Even though he stopped, it wasn't early enough. He had stopped before that yellow line.
Point. Not a lot of guys pitted that time. It's not going to cost him a lot in the grand scheme of things, but that's what we're talking about right there. Is when the pit exit is still closed because the field's still matriculating by. iRacing doesn't like it if you go past that pit exit.
I was told there would be no vocabulary.
Oh, I've got bad news for you.
Zach Evans with the matriculating word utilization there tonight. That's one I don't even break out very much.
We're only halfway through this bad boy. We might get to some real big words before it's all said and done.
Ethan Burrell does win that halfway point, by the way. Robert Hill flashed it up on the screen from race control. That is a playoff point. One Ethan Burrell will carry through all rounds of our playoff format. 14 cars, they'll race 3 races, then drop down to 9 cars, then they'll race 3 more races and drop it down to 4 for the championship race. So an abbreviated version of the playoff series NASCAR utilizes in real life. Pace car is off. Ethan Burrell continues to lead. He's led 127 laps today. You'll note that's the lap counter up at the top left. That's just also the counter for how many laps Ethan Burrell has led. We complete our 15th caution. Green flag is out once again, and Ethan Burrell on the loud pedal. He'll jump down in front of his Pro Edge Racing teammate, David Tooker, and don't look now, but a couple more Pro Edge Racing teammates are just behind the
the 15 car. That's Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks. So 4 Pro Edge Toyotas have worked their way up to the top 7.
But Chad Frankenfield has worked his way up to the 3rd position. We've documented the adventurous night he has had, been a lap down earlier in the race, involved in some early incidents. But now here he is, back up to the 3rd position. Is Hossack getting into the wall out of turn 2.
Yeah, our 2 ARCA championship contenders from last night battling inside the top 5 here. Michael Hossack 5th. Leighton Norgard 7th right there, just running the top lane. They're currently working against Matthew Weeks and Gavin Hibbs, and to my understanding, those 2 can make it the rest of the way on fuel. The car behind the purple car, number 40, Tyler Fody, he is also in that situation, as is the 90 of Scott Crump just behind Tyler Fody. And Norgard sideways off turn 4, just in front of Tyler Fody. Everyone stays straight.
Yep, they were able to keep that sorted out. Leighton Norgard, even a little bit smaller bobble off of turn 2 that time. That car just really upset on throttle application on corner exit at the moment. Hopefully he'll be able to get the rear tires cooled off a little bit and get settled back in here, but has dropped to the 10th position.
Michael Hossack now the latest victim of the cars that do have wrecked tires and enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. He'll drop down behind Tyler Fody in 8th, back further in the field. We've got a couple of guys who are also going to not be pitting the next time the caution flag comes out. Ryan Gable, Ryan Schultz, Ethan Stanley, who is working his way forward after getting involved in an early incident tonight. All of them have bypassed Kyle Hanshaw in the 46.
And next in line on that list is going to be Ray Bracey in the 7 car. As we look a little, there is Ray Bracey. Jordan, he's got trouble.
Right in front of him, it's Seth Rawls. Oh, and Jonathan Cutlip's going to get involved. See what happened to Seth Rawls. I think he might be... this might be a tally on the 9 car.
Neither one's going to be real happy with that one. Chris Wright's going to say he waited till the last minute to drive down. That's exactly, literally what he's saying. I got in there and then you turned left. And Seth Rawls is going to say you weren't there for a very long time.
Right. And I'm trying to think back of, we kind of had a very similar incident as this last week where, and did Ethan Bro come down pit road? He sure did.
He did.
Yep, so here comes Ethan. Ethan stayed out for that halfway point. David Tooker also down pit road. We're on board with Jonathan Cutlip on the Rebel Out replay machine. Nowhere to go. He was side by side. There was a car to his inside.
And unfortunately, that contact gave Seth Rawls the unenviable meatball. I'm sure it was the impact with the left front.
Oh.
And there he is driving away after getting that suspension repaired.
Ethan Burrell, David Tooker had to stop at the tail end, stop and let the field by. They are now, I'll wait for scoring to reset. Burrell's showing 5th on my monitor, but I think, he's going to be 28th because he waited so long to stay out. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier in the race, right? Stay out, you lead a lot of laps, right? We've had our first lead change of the day. Chad Frankenfield, now the race leader. He does get a bonus point, which is big news for Chad, but you just had to make that call earlier. I think you had to make sure that you had enough fuel to go to the end of the race to where you could just stay out, and you had to brave the potential of getting wrecked. Now, Ethan Burrell is not in control of this race. He's going to have to pass people to make his way around them, and I don't know how well even a car as fast as Ethan Burrell is going to do in the dirty air and mired in the middle of the pack.
I think you've definitely got a point there. What will be interesting to see as we move forward in this race is, of course, how nicely will these guys up front now play with each other. They've gotten through the let's work our way to the front part. Now they feel like they're in the catbird seat. Now it's time for these guys to execute their strategy and race for a win. How well will that work out for them?
Right. You know, you've got Chad Frankenfield up here also, he's been to pit road a lot. I don't know if Chad Frankenfield has enough fuel to make it to the end from here, but I certainly wouldn't put it past him to stay out as long as possible and just see what happens. On top of that, you know, I don't know that we've seen the most we could have seen from Tate Lytle so far tonight. Does he have anything left in the tank? But, you know, the guys behind here that have a real opportunity, Gavin Hibbs, we've talked about how badly that 95 car has needed a race win. He was well in line for it at Bristol, 20 laps to go, ended up wrecked on the inside wall. Could be a redemption story tonight for Gavin Hibbs in that 95. Chad Frankenfield gets on the loud pedal, completes our 16th caution of the evening, and he drives us into turn number 1 with Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks battling side by side just behind.
We'll be on the lookout, see how those cars that just pitted fare on this restart. But right now, up front, you see this battle. This is for the 3rd position between Gavin Hibbs and Tyler Fode.
Fourth position.
Excuse me.
And Gavin Hibbs trying to hold tough on Tyler Fode, but Fode knowing Matthew Weeks, I think, is his biggest competition right now in that 11 car. Weeks is the only one who is kind of on that same cycle
Weeks
in front of Tyler Fode, and there goes Tyler Fode by Gavin Hibbs. Give it to Tyler Fode right there in 4th place.
And there's Scott Crump. He's got to try to work his way into this battle for 5th now. And again, he's got to be careful. He's already got, well, the one tally that's under appeal, the other tally that he outright is carrying at the moment. Trouble front stretch, Dustin Dewar around. Seth Rawls is going to get collected in that. And the caution is out.
Dewar tries to tow it, but to no avail. And that's going to be on the 32 car, I think.
So he is way up the racetrack here. I think it's got a snap-on exit. It is. That's going to collect Carlos Acosta, who comes out all right from it.
We turn the 73.
And then Dusty's locked up here, but Jesse Racimus is. And then, yeah.
Oh, no.
There's where Seth Rawls gets collected.
One of the lines posted this morning for the over-under was drivers removed from the race due to tallies. That was the 2nd tally on Dusty Dewar, and that would make that the over on drivers removed from the race tonight. So congratulations if you were betting on that. Both drivers, do-good drivers, and long-standing do-good drivers that have been here a long time, wind up being the ones that catch the trouble and the ire of race control tonight. $17 yellows, Zach. We are pacing for what, 30?
I was told there would be no math. It's not good.
It is. Oh, it's not. And Chad Frankenfield's loving it. I truly don't think Chad has anything to lose at this point, right? He's well out. And if he does come down pit road, don't think he would have the ability to move back to the front. So this is kind of an all-in type of move for Chad Frankenfield. I know we're not in Las Vegas, but he was able to hold the lead relatively easily on that restart. And if the cautions keep falling like this, he's been to pit road a few times. I can't help but think the 15 car's got a shot.
We know he's going to. He's got to ride it out till the bitter end for sure. I think whatever the case may be, I believe he's made his bed, and this is where he wants to try to make this race work out and get what has been an elusive win for Chad Frankenfield here in the Cup Series so long since he's gone to victory lane in this top level of elite.
Right, it has been quite a long time for Chad Frankenfield, and we talked about winless
winless streaks with regard to Scott Crump, who's up here in 6th place. Gavin Hibbs is another one. Doesn't so much have a winless streak as he won Talladega last season, but if he doesn't win a race, Gavin Hibbs will be missing the playoffs in the 95 car. So certainly looking for a win with some desperation on the mind in the 95. And, some of these guys up here as well looking for their first win in this series, thinking of Justin Wadsworth there in 10th. Pace car off. Chad Frankenfield, Tate Lytle, the front row. Tyler Fode and Matthew Weeks there in row 2. Green flag is out. Chad Frankenfield with the jump. And he piles it into turn 1, but it looks like Tate Lytle's turned up the wick in the 56 car this time. Not enough. Chad's going to clear him on the back straightaway.
That's about as close as we've seen second place hang with a leader on a restart tonight. Definitely a strong showing from Tate Lytle on that restart. We look a little further back here. This is a little knot of side-by-side action. You've got Tyler Fode, Scott Crump, Gavin Hibbs, Chris Wright, Justin Wadsworth, Leighton Norgard, all kind of in this wad of cars from about 5th on down to 9th or 10th.
Yep. Hibbs now to the inside of Scott Crump. That's that battle for the 6th position, just in front of Wadsworth and Norgard side by side for the 8th spot. Give 8th to to Wadsworth. Norgard falls to 9th, and Delicato is going to be hunting after that spot from the 12. Up in front of them, Gavin Hibbs powers through on the inside, trying to clear Chris Wright and Will, and now Justin Wadsworth will jump up alongside the 9 car. Justin Wadsworth trying to make a move towards the front after, recall, him and Tyler Fode getting into it on one of the restarts, having to come down pit road maybe a little earlier than they were hoping for, and ultimately getting some damage on both cars, but they've been able to fix it. Ryan Gable is sideways behind this group. You can see him out of shape on the front straightaway. Give Wadsworth that spot. Good power pass by that 6 around the 9 car. And in behind, you can see Ryan Gable, Ethan Stanley, and others trying to forge their way forward. The guy you won't see, Ethan Burrell, he's fallen behind even David Tooker back there.
Oh, right as you said, David Tooker's name, he goes around out of turn number 4.
Oh.
That's the 18th caution of the evening. It involves car number 19. We'll see what happened here on the Revelous replay machine.
David Tooker had gotten ahead of his teammate Ethan Burrell for the first time all night. He had basically run second to him the entire night, and
that's a
that car just snaps loose on him coming off turn 4. And that's one of the things that David Tooker ran, 125, 128 laps in the top 5 in this race, qualified there, ran there the whole night, and no mistakes, no issues, nothing. Put him back in the field for just however many laps that was, 25 laps, and there's a mistake. And here comes Ethan Burrell down pit road once again. So those two have just, I don't know if they've shot themselves in the foot when it comes to their ability to win this race or what, but I just am questioning that decision to stay out for that stage point. To me, it's just more valuable to go out and try to get that track position back if you know you're going to have to come down pit road.
I just heard over the voice chat we're up to 90 caution laps.
That's about right.
Ugh.
Frankly, I'm surprised it's that few.
You're laughing at Chris Buescher. You're laughing at Chris Buescher.
Also
Yes.
Chris Buescher, yeah. That's, I believe, Gavin Hibbs pit board there.
It is indeed the 95 pit board.
A good one. I want to note, as we do have our camera there on the race leader, Chad Frankenfield, while we've got it up there on Chad, he did not get caught. When he was leading there, he kept a reasonable gap on Tate Lytle, and Tate was not pressuring him in any way. That tells me this 15 cars have got enough speed. Unless, of course, and this being a very obvious caveat given that it's Tate Lytle, but Tate may not have been pushing the issue very much at all right now. Still, around 100 laps to go, but Chad Frankenfield was able to hold the lead,
and build a gap enough to hold off the 56 car.
And it's like you've talked about track position is king, right? Chad Frankenfield has it now. I'm sure that's doing wonders for him to be able to just get out in front, be able to run his marks at his line, not have to worry about navigating cars in front of him. It's so challenging at Martinsville because you can have your line that you want to run, but unless you are in the position Chad Frankenfield is in right now, it's almost always dictated a little bit by what people are doing around you.
Yeah, and right now, obviously, I think that David Tooker spinning to bring out our 18th caution is a great example of this. David Tooker's a very good race car driver, right? He won Bristol a few weeks ago in a 500-mile event on a short track. He's a very capable driver, but when you put yourself back in the field, you're just asking for bad things to happen. Right now, Chad Frankenfield does not have those bad things. He's out front, has the big jump on the restart here. As we conclude our 18th caution of the night, Matthew Weeks is going to be challenging Tate Lytle for that second position. Can the 11 car get in position here to challenge Chad Frankenfield for the race lead?
He's certainly staying with the 15 for now. Again, one of the best showings we've seen from a second-place car on these restarts. Meanwhile, Matthew...
Oh, around goes Tooker again! And Burrell just took flawless will.
Kyle Hancock in this one. And now we've got another incident in 1 and 2 with Leighton Norgard and Ryan Schuld.
Yeah, Norgard got loose on corner entry. We kind of had it on our screen here. I didn't catch that Norgard spun all the way around, but he completely looped it on corner entry, piled it in way too deep up on the outside lane. But before we take a look at Norgard's incident, let's take a look at David Tooker, who we were just talking about it. Kyle Hanshaw's going to come up the track and get into him a little bit.
That's the second time Hanshaw has found himself in a situation where he was on the inside and a car kind of worked its way down the track in front of him in the middle of the corner. Obviously, earlier tonight, that was Johnny Thomas. Now it's David Tooker. And that leads to this collection on the exit of turn 4.
I will say, before Johnny Thomas got the EOL, he came down a couple of lanes. I think that in this one, Kyle Hanshaw's going to get it. He comes up a lane there, coming off a corner exit.
Yeah, it's certainly not as much of a move from the 19 as we saw from Johnny Thomas earlier tonight. Meanwhile, let's see what happened to a Leighton Norgard. Uh-oh, he is in there deep.
Yeah, well.
He is going to lock him up to try and avoid Chris Wright, and then Ryan Schultz just got to be an innocent bystander here.
Yeah, no, and she'll know where to go for Ryan Schultz. And yeah, Norgard just piled it in a little too much there. And ultimately, once you get on the binders in this next-gen car, it will hop out from under you real quickly, and that's what happens to our ARCA champion, Leighton Norgard. He will get the tally along with Kyle Hanshaw. I think Robert Hill making the call we were expecting right there. And Personette, Johnny, Seth Rawls all working their way through wreck number 1. Now they get to work their way through wreck number 2. 19 cautions, 164 laps. It's certainly been one of the nights of iRacing. I'll tell you that right now.
Are you saying you're not having fun?
I'm having fun with you, Zach, and Dave. Right? I'm having fun with you guys. It would be nice if the drivers were. We're having fun, right? Yeah, I'm having fun with you. It'd be nice if the drivers were giving us a little more to talk about, where we weren't analyzing the strategy of stay out and don't pit as being the potential race-winning strategy. But it sure looks that way because Chad Frankenfield leading the race, Ethan Burrell hard into the outside wall during that crash with David Tooker almost certainly has ended the opportunity to win tonight for that 37 car.
Okay, tallies to Hanshaw and Norgard.
Right.
Yep.
1 to green. Once again, to conclude the 19th yellow, and the Truck Series on Sunday definitely looking in proud. They've only got 6 more cautions than this Cup Series did, so we're well on our way as Chad Frankenfield leads the field out of turn number 4, gets on the loud pedal, and Chad Frankenfield will continue to lead this race. Tate Lytle going to try to get to the outside of the 15, but Chad Frankenfield puts the gas pedal down. He's going to lead him off a turn 2, but he's not fully clear of this 56 car.
No, Tate Lyle just keeps picking up a little bit more.
Oh,
there goes Chad.
Too much pressure.
Tate Lytle ramped up the pressure on Chad Frankenfield, and Chad spins it there coming out of turn 4. That hands the lead and control of the race over to the Pro Edge Toyotas of Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks. Let's take a look at what happened, but we saw it on the replay. I think this one was pretty cut and dry.
Just too much throttle on corner exit. We've seen this a lot tonight. This time it strikes for the leader, Chad Frankenfield. All that work to be up front here as we get later and later into this race, 82 laps to go. Now he'll go all the way to the back.
Yeah, and now Chad can come down pit road, put some tires on it, but he will get the tally. Can't be driving through people, coming back through the field. A tough break. Chad led some laps. He did look like he could hold his own up front. He just needed to be fully clear of Tate Lytle, and I think down the back straightaway he wasn't willing to cut off that 56 car. And at the end of the day, that's probably what he needed to do, right? He needed to fully clear himself and have Tate behind him on corner entry there in 3 and 4. Once Tate was able to get to his outside, it just put the pressure on the 15 to keep up on that bottom lane with the damaged car, and ultimately that's where things fell through.
And Gavin Hibbs is the only car left with no incident.
Wow.
All right, don't you? All right.
How dare you?
I'm tempting fate. Come on. I want to play.
David Westergreen is not allowed to
I didn't say anything.
Having Gibbs for the rest of the evening.
And I have, we talked plenty about Mr. Hibbs in that 95 car and everything that he's gone through this season. And here's a couple more guys back here that have gone through quite a bit. Ryan Gable in 9th has not won a race this year and has been through some adventures. And here's another guy, last week's winner, who's had he had a terrible season up until last week. And then look at this guy running 11th. How is Ethan Stanley running 11th? That car bounced off of the ground when it hit the outside wall in turn 1 early in the race. He is back in contention for a top 10 finish.
Looking further through the field as the field gets the 1 to green signal. Nick Massey, 20th.
That's another car that's been involved in wrecks tonight. Seen a lot of it. A lot of good recovery drives. That's often what takes place at Martinsville. A lot of good recovery drives, a lot of good stories, and a lot of heartbreak, like we just saw from Chad Frankenfield. Pace car off after our 20th caution of the evening. Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks, teammates on the front row and in control of the race. Green flag back out for Tate Lytle. Matthew Weeks in tow. Gavin Hibbs going to work up the outside lane. See if Gavin Hibbs is anything for these Toyotas.
Gavin Hibbs on the outside. Well, he'll be able to get down in front of Tyler Fody now. Hang on to that 3rd position. Matthew Weeks running 2nd. Scott Crump still hanging out in that 5th spot.
Scott's definitely got a chance if things can break his way here. Side by side for 6th, Nick and Delicato, Chris Wright just behind this group. Up front, all Tate Lytle, Matthew Weeks in 2nd, Gavin Hibbs sitting in 3rd. Weeks' car blinking in and out, and now Delicato sideways on the front straightaway. Everybody checks up behind, but it seems like the 10 car gathered it up, and we will remain green. for now.
Chris Wright apologizing. I would guess there was contact between him and Nick and Delicato there.
Like it was on corner exit. I don't know if there was anything Chris could have particularly done differently. He was on the outside lane. Delicato loses 4 or 5 spots, but everything's still rolling.
Now it's Justin Wadsworth in that precarious outside position.
Oh, they're wrecking on the front straightaway. Fortner.
Holy cow, I don't even know who it was. I just saw sliding across. I believe it was Fortner that was at a high rate of speed while sideways on my screen. We'll take a look at Rebel's replay machine.
I believe this is going to start with Michael Hosek in the 24 car just ahead of Justin Fortner. It might be another one of our car loose on corner exit. You could see Fortner sideways. I think Chad Frankenfield looped it behind this group. Or no, that was Ryan Schold. Mark Rebelas. Bad corner for Little Eagle. Bad couple of cautions for Little Eagle, really.
Fortner, I believe he was checking up for somebody in front of him, and David Tooker got into Fortner. Yeah, that's Nick Massey that gets loose. Kind of a separate deal altogether. And then when Fortner checked up, David Tooker couldn't get woed up and just escorted Justin Fortner to the inside wall.
Wild, wild night. For sure. We under our 21st caution of the evening?
That's 21. Blackjack.
If only you could stop there. Hold. I don't want another car, dealer.
No more cards.
Please.
No more cards.
Michael Hosek is going to get the tally from Robert Hill with race control here. And a lot of it is, you talked earlier about the track temp being up a little bit, and after the race started, it's been going down pretty steadily, but it's still 97 degrees. What we're seeing is just a lack of grip on corner exit. These guys are the car is just not in the track very much at all. It looks to be very challenging to drive, very uncomfortable for these drivers. Ray Bracey messaged me, said he just doesn't feel like he can get the power down on these corner exits. So to avoid self-spinning, he's just going slower. It's working for some people, but as you can see, it's not working for others.
And I'll admit, this is where I'm not as familiar with, obviously, fixed setup racing here in Elite. A lot of times, if there's an iRacing setup available, that's what will be used. I have to imagine, though, for this particular track, when you consider when the real-life races happen in Martinsville, I doubt this setup was made with 90, 100, 110-degree track temps in mind.
They run Martinsville in the spring, right? So,
yep.
And at night, and then they run it in November.
Right.
So I don't think that the next gen car has ever touched a track that's 97 degrees.
You think that's by choice, that they don't want to race it on a hot track at Martinsville?
That might accidentally create some good racing in real life, for what it's worth. They've been averse to that, especially at the short tracks. Not that this is particularly good.
I was going to say, this is not a good advisor for that opinion.
No, this is not. Nobody in the big offices in Charlotte or Daytona are going to watch this and say, you know what? We should have a Martinsville race in July.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic this is per se, but it's certainly not turning any heads. Gavin Hibbs got around Matthew Weeks before that caution flag came out. Weeks ultimately will restart on the bottom behind his teammate Tate Lytle. Hibbs will work up top and try to stick with that 56 car. Green flag is out, and Tate got a good jump, but it wasn't the best jump. Hibbs is still there on the outside.
Matthew Weeks got to try to slot alongside Gavin Hibbs. Didn't get the run out of the corner he needed, though, so it's got to be Lytle and Hibbs clear that way in first and second. Matthew Weeks got to have to deal with Tyler Fody and Scott Crump.
Yep, Weeks now dealing with that. 3 wide just behind. You can see it on your screen. Delicato, Vandermarl, Gable were 3 wide. They sorted that out back to 2 wide. Gavin Hibbs on the charge, working after Tate Lytle for the race lead.
And if there's anything I've learned from watching this race tonight, it's if you get a chance to go for the lead as Fody and Weeks make contact off of turn 4, and I'm sure that won't result in any heated words, you better go for it. If Gavin Hibbs can get Tate Lytle, he needs to go get Tate Lytle right now.
I mean, especially as we get closer to the end of this race.
Oh, there goes Ethan Stanley. Just got spun by Nick and Delicato.
Oh, and Ryan Gable
up
in front of Andrew Rucker.
Oh, man. Gable, or rather Stanley right there, it caused more of an issue, and for his teammate, than if he had just spun the car out. He tried to save it, and it wound up hooking the 01 up into the 64. But this is all going to get started right here. 10 car drove through the 91.
Yeah, pretty significant contact from behind there. And then, you know what? I'm going to disagree with you after looking at the replay. I don't think Stanley was really trying to save it. I think he's got it pretty much locked up here, and just the car slid down the track.
You know what? I see the tire turn to the right, and I know, Ethan Stanley's very, very good race car driver, where your instant reaction is going to be, let's get this thing straightened out. But yeah, I think he's on the binders there. I think he's trying to get this thing stopped.
Yep.
The real question is, was there some prior contact? Because Delicato just hauled it off into turn 3 and wiped out the 91 car.
To the rewind. Let's see here. I'm looking at the wrong cars, so don't mind me.
Yeah, they're on the right side of the screen, kind of shifting back to the left, but I don't see any necessarily immediate prior contact.
Certainly not in the corner prior.
I'll do a little rewind sleuthing my own and let you guys know if I come across anything.
Andrew Rucker thought he had it missed, and then suddenly the 01 car appears in front of him.
Right. And Delicato was part of that 3-wide skirmish there on the opening lap, but yeah, I don't see anything. And unless there was something prior to this that resulted. Oh man, unfortunate for Andrew Rucker for sure. And he ran a number of laps in the top 5 tonight. Very good run for Andrew Rucker, and it's not going to go down that way in the record books, but a good run for the 64.
That's one where you think you're right behind Gavel and you hit him. You figure, okay, I'll go around him. I'll be done with him. And there he is again.
The Huck's car. Dave, what'd you do? Why'd you do this, Dave?
Oh, more paint, more body work.
You could, yep. But the boys at the paint shop are gonna have to.
You got lots of chrome paint.
Work cut out.
To be fair, Westergreen, as we see the tally to Nick and Delicato, you say this is gonna, obviously hurt Andrew Rucker's outcome. We still have 60 more laps for him to dodge, 10 more wrecks and end up in the top 5. Who knows?
I would agree, but also consider the source material. Andrew Rucker and dodging wrecks really typically don't go hand in hand, evidenced by this last wreck and many others. But hey, I will yield to you and potentially Andrew Rucker if he's able to find his way up to have a respectable result. But I do want to note that this was a good race for Andrew Rucker up until lap 190.
I'm holding out hope for you, Rucky Ducky. David clearly is not, but I believe in you.
I have some skepticism, much like my skepticism that this will not be our last yellow. 22 cautions in, all hope is gone effectively. Pace car is in. 56 and 95. Get Tate Lytle and Gavin Hibbs side by side. Tate's got a teammate on the bottom, and Tate waited in that restart zone till the very end. Gavin Hibbs unable to kind of jump along with Tate Lytle, and that does give Tate a little bit of an edge, but Gavin able to slice in behind, and the yellow flag out.
Casey Hatch almost went over in turn 1. He is in incident with Justin Fortner.
It's going so well.
We'll see what happens here.
I'm a little worried that. Yep.
Oh no!
Zach! Oh, Zach!
He had 60 more laps.
What did I say, Zach?
Ugh.
Well, Rucker had a good race.
You know
now
what?
I have
We
to.
got 57 more laps to dodge some wrecks.
We're losing it up here in the
Oh.
booth. Oh man, I think it's a pretty clear cut and dry tally call there for race control, Robert Hill. Don't know that there's going to be much ado about that one. We on board with Rucker here. Tally does go to the 64 car, and in the game of, the Alex Bowman game of just drive through a car that's in front of you from Sunday at Talladega, it seems like Rucker just didn't get the memo that Ryan Blaney sent out, where you probably don't want to be just smashed into and spun out if available.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
23 cautions.
Mm-hmm.
They are not on the same pace the Truck Series did. I guess that's a plus. We can go there. They're not going to get to 25 cautions before lap 200.
Okay, to be fair, the Truck Series, now I gotta double check. I'm pretty sure there were some overtimes involved.
Wow.
Yes.
I feel like you're right. There had to have been.
The last one we would have ran out of time.
That's right. We were on
the same pace.
Yeah.
Which is why I felt bad for Grunberg jumping the start. Everybody was so eager to get started again because the lobby was going to close.
Yeah, they ended up running 213 laps on Sunday night, so
that's our new target.
I don't know if I want to call it a target. Golly.
Unfortunate target.
Please stop, guys. Please
Goal.
stop.
Goal.
I haven't even changed up the running order either. It's been like the same group of cars that's wrecked. And it's not like same drivers or anything that's causing the wreck. It's just like the area on the track that just kind of keeps shuffling them around. Back in about 23rd to 30th, just keeps shuffling, spinning, and then you'll have one spin from 10th, and they'll go back there and do it all over again. Approaching 50 laps to go. Tate Lytle remains the race leader. Pate's car is off. The booth losing its sanity ever so slightly. Green flag is out once again. Tate Lytle trying to keep Gavin Hibbs at bay. Hibbs very hungry for a race win in this 2024 season.
Hibbs definitely hungry for a win. He's holding on to that second spot for now.
He's looking to the outside of Tate Lytle. This battle for the lead is going to be furious, and for as long as these guys can keep it green, Gavin Hibbs is going to have a chance to get around this 56 car.
Oh, that's tight.
Yep.
Matthew. Yep.
Oh, there goes Vandermeer all around. Stanley goes around. Ty McIntosh around. A big wreck on the back straightaway here.
Frankenfield's in it. I think he was able to drive away. Frankenfield got straightened out, but he did get a piece of it.
I think the guys over here on the back straightaway did a mighty fine job of checking up, and I haven't been able to say anything positive regarding the wreck avoidance tonight, but that was a pretty good one. I thought that was going to be a fairly huge wreck, and they all stopped.
Starts there with door-to-door contact between Indelicato and and then Ethan Stanley, Ty McIntosh. Chad Frankenfield, I believe, may have gotten delivered into that. We'll have to get another look at it, but I think he was getting woed up, like you were saying, and then maybe got a nudge from somebody, perhaps the 5 of Jonathan Cutlip. We'll get another look at it here.
I believe you are absolutely correct on the outcome that sent Chad Frankenfield careening into that. We did finally get a driver in the infield care center if we want to bring up and talk to Ty McIntosh. If any drivers are listening, you are more than welcome in the infield care center. As 24 cautions in, we don't have a whole lot more to talk about.
Our audience has me dying to hear any voice other than ours at this point.
In which case, let's bring up Ty McIntosh and find out what happened to him. Ty, we saw you involved in one of the earlier wrecks. He had recovered a little bit, but Looks like you finally got caught up in another one there. Take us through your night.
I mean, yeah, I qualified really well. I mean, this was one of the races that I was really looking forward to on the schedule. Short track's been my thing. I mean, we finished third in the truck race, so I was looking forward to it. Qualified 10th and was running good. Just tripped over my own feet there. I was going to say something a little more not PG. Yeah, no, and then right there, I mean, I recovered all night. Kept my foot in it. Just didn't want to, but worked our way back inside the top 10 there, and just unfortunate nowhere to really go. I mean, I was hoping he'd keep spinning down, and he just didn't. And I think it was me, Stanley got involved in it, a lot of people. So at pretty much, I mean, that was points we needed. We were still 40 out, so it's going to put us even worse. But just unfortunate.
And thinking about the points real quick, anything you're thinking of when it comes to Daytona coming up? Any shot you've got there? You ran well at Daytona, I think, in the 500. So get that one circled as your ticket into the playoffs.
I mean, we're going to get as many points as we can in Iowa, hopefully. It's going to be tough. Gavin and I both need a win here unless he gets something done tonight. So, yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely circled. We have the speed. Why not us?
Always a good saying. Why not us? Good luck out there, Ty. Any shout-outs before we send you off tonight?
Numbers by Joe. I brought the throwback out for some good luck. Didn't really enjoy the way that it ended at Darlington, so it looked good. Cheems got destroyed there at the end. Sephiroth's design, Hibbs' design. Everybody that is a partner on the 35 and every other car that I drive, Weekend Wisman. And you guys putting on the show, and Chad for putting the league together and then putting us here. So,
well, appreciate talking to you, Ty. I'm sure the viewers appreciate hearing somebody that won nuts. So have a good night. We'll see you later.
Thanks, sir.
Driver of the 35, Ty McIntosh. Nice little infield care center interview during our pacing of the 24th caution. Tate Lytle brings us back to the green flag, and he gets it. Gavin Hibbs is on it on this restart, and Michael Hosak's going to wreck on the front straightaway and throw that one out the window. Oh, I was excited. I thought Gavin Hibbs was going to have a chance there. 24 car definitely got on the wheel spinner. Although it might have been a check, and now, yeah, he's just already spinning.
So that's the second for Michael Hosak.
I believe both of them were of that variety, so I don't believe he'll be appealing anything.
And both in the span of about 30 laps, unfortunately.
Yeah, Michael Hosak, the runner-up in the ARCA finale last night, ultimately falling short to a Leighton Norgard for that championship. Hosak will be retired from the evening, making it our third car to be retired due to tallies.
Did we mention who our sponsor was for next year's ARCA series?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because this is the RevLimit Workshop 250, and Thomas Coonan runs RevLimit Workshop, and he has come on board to sponsor the ARCA series, which Michael Hosak was a part of. And it's a terrible segue, given that Michael Hosak just spun out and got booted from the race there tonight. But he put on a good show. He'll likely be one of the cars that's back hunting for the championship next season. And Thomas Coonan graciously coming on board, sponsoring tonight's race as well. And RevLimit Workshop is the sponsor there. And I don't know, Dave, do you want to give them another ad read since we're talking about them a little bit?
Sure. This broadcast is, as you said, is brought to us by RevLimit Workshop, your go-to for pulsating designs at unbeatable prices. Need a logo or a promo? Get yours for $5. Want a full racing scheme that stands out? Only $15. Contact us on X to get your premium custom scheme today. Scheme. I don't know why I called it scheme.
Actually called a livery.
If it's a schedule in England, is it a scheme? A scheme? I will have to ask William White. Is SCHEME a scheme?
So I as we work our way under this caution, I don't want to draw attention to this, but I fear I must to put on the radar of our viewing audience. We are about 37 minutes away from hitting the 2 hour and 35 minute time limit on this session. 42 laps to go. Even if you pace, we need some green flag racing. Is kind of what I'm saying.
You could pace that, but we'll probably get overtime.
That's the problem.
And then we'll be buffering up against the time limit, which you mentioned we did on Sunday with the Truck Series.
Yes. So.
It's not what you want. Not at all.
And it's definitely going to become a point of conversation amongst the drivers. They're going to see that clock ticking down and realize they got to either straighten it out or it's got to be a shortened race.
Tate Lytle again bringing them through 3 and 4 up higher in the groove. In this restart, he will get a much better launch. Gavin Hibbs unable to get going. Tate varying up his looks in that restart zone, and I'm sure fuel isn't a factor for this 56 car anymore, but he has been out there for a long time.
Ooh, looked like Gavin Hibbs may have got an incident point there. Hit the wall pretty hard. Maybe a 0X.
How dare you? He is still 0X. Here's Gavin Hibbs side by side with Matthew Week. Right behind is the Lake Norman teammate.
Richie Hearn saves it. We're still green.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. I don't know what happened. Richie Hearn saved it. I do not see what happened that didn't involve Richie Hearn.
That's not Richie Hearn. That is Jonathan Cutlip and Ethan Burrell, and I'm sure they're seeing Richie Hearn sideways in front.
Yeah.
And
it
looks like
Oh,
boy.
Behind Richie Hearn. Oh, that's
the 4-car combo.
Quite the domino effect. Yeah, that was.
That's not my preferred order when I go to Chick-fil-A.
Let's see.
I don't ask for the 4-car combo.
I'm really curious to what. So obviously we see the contact here between Burrell and Fortner. Fortner just ready for tonight to be over. Cutlip missing it, gets into Jesse Racimus.
And they are probably seeing Hearn up there. He is up there a little ways.
You
can see him at the top of the screen.
Up there, you can see the smoke from where Hearn is sideways. You can barely see where he straightened it out at this point, but he was completely sideways at one point in turn 2, which is when I started exclaiming his name.
Hooting and hollering, as it were.
Indeed.
You might want to take a look at what Richie Hearn was, what acts of heroism Richie Hearn was performing over there in turn 2.
So we'll see.
Oh boy, he made a little contact with Mr. Jones.
So it looks like Brent Jones may have blinked in this corner, which might have led to a situation where they may not have even been that close to each other, but trying to predict.
Yeah, look at that.
He is gone.
89 car blinked out, and the 73 hit the disappeared race car.
He got hit by the Phantom 89.
Yeah. Racing deal, I guess, as Robert Hill's will to live slowly draining away in race control.
Richie tried to save Robert's will to live.
He did. Look, Richie did a great job gathering that car back up after he got hit by a car he never saw that may not have actually touched him at all. And
Brent Jones summoning spirits, do his bidding there, and knocked the 73 car out of the way.
Oh man,
got witchcraft going on in the elite Belly Up Cup Series tonight. It's a wild night for sure for the RevLimit Workshop 250. 26 yellow flags. Tate Lytle has dominated since Chad Frankenfield self-spun from the race lead. It is worth noting Chad Frankenfield has recovered up to 11th place, and Zach's buddy Andrew Rucker has recovered up to 16th.
Why is he my buddy now?
Well, because, you said there was, 60 laps to go. Now there's like 35 laps to go. And he's up 16th. He's recovering. He's doing what you told him to.
Yeah, he is recovering. It'll be about 35 minutes on the clock when we go green here.
But about a lap a minute is what we got time for.
That's pretty much it.
Probably try to click some of these off under green. Tate Lytle up the track once again, bringing them to the restart zone. He gets on the loud pedal, and it won't be as good of a restart as last time, but it will still be a strong one. And it will pit Gavin Hibbs and Matthew Weeks against one another in the second row.
Gavin Hibbs on the outside. Matthew Weeks.
Yellow again.
Jonathan Cutlip is around on the backstretch in the 5-car. Joshua Personette also collected in some fashion. I don't know if he stopped to. Oh, they're 3 wide in front of Cutlip.
That'll do
Contact
it.
with Acosta and Rabillas. Oh. Let's
Bouncing
see
off
here.
one another.
There's where they make contact. So I'm guessing somebody's got to get out of shape here. Cutlip's got to try and take it 3 wide and get out of this before it gets out of hand.
It's gonna get
Boy,
hooked.
that's tight. It doesn't even look like from there either of them moved a ton, but ultimately Cutlip does spin across the nose of Acosta. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Worth noting, Scott Crump dropped a good win 56 in the chat, hoping that he jinxes him, but also noting that it's impossible to pass if we make it half a lap every time. Yeah. Cutlip and Personette, a couple of fueled up racing teammates there, ending up making contact on the back straightaway. A lot of team-on-team contact in this race as well. Started up with Scott Crump and Robert Hill's going to race that. Note that a racing deal, but it started with Scott Crump and Ethan Stanley making contact there in turn 1. And from there, we've seen quite a bit of teammates contacting one another.
Under the last caution, there was a little bit of a discussion with the drivers. You have time on there. Of civil disobedience for 2026. Of when they come back here in Martinsville, they're all going to just pull down pit lane and park and refuse to race. To which Chad said he would stay on track for the win.
Of course he would. I think the broadcasters would also end up going on strike in that instance, and Chad wouldn't have video evidence of it. But
we would show the cars on pit lane.
Exactly. I mean, hear Chad zooming around outside by himself.
Dave just showing off the different pit crew uniforms on pit road.
We can make sure Gavin Hibbs has Chris Buescher, the pit stein and the pit box.
We'll throw it to that view.
Yeah. There's somebody down there. Is there a driver on the racetrack? It's funny because, I don't necessarily know that this is as every race I've ever watched at Martinsville on iRacing go. It's exactly the same. It's just slight mistakes, bouncing off each other, a little bit of difficulty to drive the car to where people are self-spinning. It's fairly simple.
We're in it. We're going through it right now, as the kids say.
25 laps to go. And theoretically, we could be done in a full 10 minutes. These guys kept it green. Tate Lytle, Gavin Hibbs, the front row. It's wishful thinking at this point. It's the green flag out once again. Lytle with a very good restart this time, able to pit Hibbs and Weeks against each other in the second row, and unless Hibbs is able to clear by Matthew Weeks fairly quickly. Oh, Josh Clark just stacked him up. They're going to spin Brent Jones in front of the field.
Around.
And that'll be the only one. I know Brent will have nothing bad to say about that one. I don't know that there was anything Brent could have done differently here. This incident happened up in front where Josh Clark stacked up a Leighton Norgard, and Brent got spun in the chaos.
Welp.
There's Andrew Rucker getting in the wreck.
He barely touched the wall. Calm down.
He did not avoid it. That's all I'm saying.
He might have picked up a 0x there, yeah. This is yeah. Oh, okay. He did get a little bit from the 89 also.
How about Brent's Detroit Tigers? That's the logo Brent has on the hood of the car. They are currently playing in the ALDS. They have won 2 games. You need to win 3 to get out of the ALDS. It's a pretty good run for.
I thought baseball season was over.
So did I. But for Brent's sake, I have to bring it up.
I thought it was a Bengal.
It is a Detroit Tiger, older Detroit Tiger logo. As Brent is a Michigan fan. Michigan sports. I believe the University of Michigan as well. My cat has decided to join us.
We're down to 29 minutes on the shot clock.
Kitty, do you think you can get these guys to finish this race under green?
Help us, please.
I think she might be able to keep the car straight.
What was the record again? Have we ever hit a 30?
Oh yeah, we've got in a half distance race.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I know we had 30 something in a 500 lapper at Bristol.
The number I keep hearing for the Martinsville, which I would have to assume is the standard distance record, is 29. So we are closing in on.
That's almost guaranteed.
Dare I say history?
Oh, Dave, why?
Prove me wrong. 32 is the record for all elite races.
Yeah, that's what I had. We might be on pace for that too.
Man, and we do it in a half race? That's like overachieving.
These guys have gone out of their way to elongate the length of this race as much as possible.
I think these guys are proving a point.
They're doing it on purpose, dang it. 1 to green. Tay Lytle and Gavin Hibbs will again race for the win in this one. Gavin hasn't gotten
a race.
Well, Tay Lytle's going to pace it through 3-4. Gavin Hibbs alongside. Gavin has not gotten a good restart either. The last 2 runs through. This time will be the same. Tate Lytle with another strong restart. Gavin is a little bit closer this time. See if he can get alongside that 56 through turn 2. He overdrove it just a little bit there. Almost got the wall on corner exit, but he's a little bit closer. Might be able to get to the outside of Tate Lytle here in turn 3. He's trying for it. Good for Gavin Hibbs.
I mean, at this point,
Josh Clark is having a problem here.
And Ethan Stanley is sliding. He has collected Ryan Schold. The caution is out.
What? No.
There is
That's
Ryan
crazy.
Schold, the number 4 for Little Eagle Racing. He's got to be an innocent bystander in this one, but I'm not sure exactly how it started.
Nope.
Oh, that's how it started. Ethan
That's
Stanley
how it started.
Turned left and made contact with the 80 car of Justin Vandermarl, and then he got sent into turn 1, and Ryan Schold's car was awkwardly in the way. So, yeah, Ryan Schold getting the worst of an incident that had absolutely nothing to do with him.
Ryan Gable pretty lucky that he wasn't involved in this. And again, it all started. I don't know if Josh Clark is damaged or if the 28 is just handling really poorly, but he stacked up the field each of the last 2 restarts pretty aggressively to the point that I'm wondering if there's something wrong with the 28 car. This is coming to the restart, but I think it's 3 and 4 on this opening lap. Because Clark was fine before this, but in 3 and 4, he just gets all sorts of out of shape. Right here, he's up the track already, creating a 3-wide scenario where Ethan Stanley is now gonna, and then there goes Ryan Schold into the wall, and they're gonna give it to Ethan Stanley.
And Ryan was hard in the throttle once he saw Ethan Stanley closing in behind him and managed to Indiana Jones away from that one.
That might be too old a reference for the younger kids these days, Zach. So running away from something in a straight line.
Maybe.
I found it humorous. He thought we still had listeners.
I know. Oh, good point. At this point, it's just a podcast with.
That's
no
for you,
viewers,
Brian.
right?
That's for you, Brian William.
Hey, Josh Adams has also been involved in chat. Jess Story has chimed in.
Connor Gardner or Connor Thompson.
There seriously must
It's
not
been
be
here as
anything
well.
else on television.
Well, we did mention the baseball. Dodgers
No,
beating the
baseball
Padres.
season's over.
Oh,
Baseball
right.
season-
I forgot about that. Other than that, yeah, I mean, hockey started, I guess.
Hockey is underway.
How are the Hurricanes doing?
Well, they're not, because the NHL is not operated by competent individuals. So the Hurricanes don't play until Friday, even though the regular season started last Friday.
I heard the hurricane was tomorrow.
No, that's a different kind of.
Oh,
hurricane.
okay.
Yeah.
Too soon for hurricane
It did-
humor?
I believe that hurricane
Especially
did
here
make
in
land.
North Carolina.
We could have some shenanigans on this restart. The Pro Edge teammates are now side by side. Tate Lytle leading. Gavin Hibbs now third. Matthew Weeks up to second. Green flag is out. Hibbs with a pretty sizable jump to get after Matthew Weeks on the bottom. And Leighton Norgard got spun out. There's going to be a big wreck in turn one.
I believe that may have started with contact between a Leighton Norgard and Ryan Gable.
I believe you are correct. Jordan Owens is going to get in this one. And Richie got into Ryan.
Richie got into Ryan. I didn't see that part.
Oh, and Chad got spun as well.
What are the odds of that? The wreck
Now
started
we're
three
not going to come back
cars
to
behind him.
Martinsville.
Chad just said Martinsville was fun. What part of it is fun?
It's really fun in real life.
Yeah, when you're running all by yourself.
It's even with car. It's a great racetrack. It really is. It is not properly. I don't want to call it modeled because the model
Simulated,
is correct.
yeah.
It doesn't. The way the simulation works, it just conduces violence. 30 yellow flags, and like not all of them are. I'm not blaming any of the drivers in this league. Like, yeah, Richie Hearn doesn't have to pile it into Ryan Gable's rear bumper and cause this wreck, but like, it's one of those things where Richie gets on the brakes, but a split second later than everybody around him.
Well, I think you have a very good
that
point.
wads up the field.
You have a very good point that maybe this is not the kind of track you drive when you don't have to pay for the repairs or you don't have a lot of things at stake or your life at stake.
Mhm.
So when you put it in a video game type setting, it just lends itself to this kind of driving.
Yeah, it does, and on top of that, right, contact isn't modeled exactly right between race cars because you have netcode, you have lag, you have some of the other items that cause various interchanges in contact, whereas if a car bounces off another car, it doesn't always result in a spin. In this, he barely knocked into the car next to him, and it resulted in a spin immediately.
So, operating on the assumption of it's about 5 caution laps per caution at a short track is typically how it works out in iRacing. By that measurement, Barney could pass Dustin Dewar for 38th here in a few laps. Barney, for those unfamiliar, of course, being the unofficial nickname of the driver of the... Oh, no, Barney's the flag.
Barney's the
Yeah,
flag.
it's Fred.
Fred is the pace car driver. My mistake. Fred is catching up to Dustin Dewar for 38th as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely led the most laps today, without question. As we go back green, it's worth noting the record for most cautions in a single elite race is 32. We've talked about that already. In order to hit that, we'll have to get one here within 2 laps.
We'll have to get one before the green-white checkered, and then we have to have at least one green-white checkered.
And with the time factor.
Without the timer running out. So, you know.
The Holy Grail.
9 laps to go. Here we go. Green flag about to come back out once again. Tate Lytle, Gavin Hibbs working the front row once again. Hibbs had to check in the box to make sure Tate did not let him jump, and Scott Crump's going to try to clear in front of Weeks. That doesn't work. Hibbs all over the back bumper of Tate Lytle. If there's a time to make the move, it's got to be now. Ethan Stanley just sent it 3 wide on the bottom. Gavin not there. They're 3 wide back around Ethan Stanley and Ranger Rucker.
A lot of tire smoke.
Weeks
They're all right.
Weeks locked him up. Tyler Fode's going to go for that podium 3rd spot. He's going to get it around Matthew Weeks. Weeks sideways up the track. Up the track goes Scott Crump. They
Weeks
still
going
save
around.
it. Still green. Oh, Weeks is going to get into Justin Wadsworth, and Wadsworth's going to be the one.
Oh,
Morgard
what
hard
in
in the
the
wall.
world? What happened after the wreck?
We'll find out.
Knew.
We have time.
If I-
Calm down. The Mark Rebelus replay machine is still working.
Oh, I have no doubt.
It's under warranty.
We're
covered.
Well oiled.
We're covered for 45 uses per race.
I think it's well oiled. It's perfectly managed. Matthew Weeks loose. Wadsworth neck codes off of Weeks, and then gets spun by Tooker. A frustrating result for Justin Wadsworth, who had a great result. And then there's Josh Clark, Leighton Norgard, Andrew Rucker getting involved in another wreck. As I look directly at Zach as hard as I can.
No one likes you.
Ethan Stanley gets spun as well. Clark is down pit road. Oh my goodness. 31 caution flags, and we are not done yet.
Yeah. All right. That was Rucker had nothing to do with that one. He was innocent.
No, he was innocent. I'm just stating that he was involved. That is all I am saying.
Carlos,
Rucker
we're on
and
a free
cautions.
time now. We've gone past what we were paid for, so don't make fun of us for laughing. Just be glad we're still here.
You guys are getting paid?
I'm not taking crap
No,
for laughing at this
is
crap.
overtime. This is overtime. We're asking Chad for double pay here. This is a full distance race. The union of the Elite Racing Network is about to strike. Force Chad's hand for pay increases, and
I just
bonuses
realized
and
how angry I
benefits.
am that this is happening the night before tomorrow is the IndyCar qualifying, which is a 5-hour show as is.
Oh my good God. I am so sorry for you
Well, I
guys.
have
Don't
this
put
week
out-
has had the truck race at Martinsville,
Yeah.
here at Martinsville, and IndyCar qualifying.
Hey, be sure to tune in to IndyCar qualifying, Indy 500 tomorrow night here on the Elite Racing Network. Who's the sponsor of that race?
That's
Is it-
Warriors for Peace. Oh,
Warriors for Peace. Shout out to Warriors for Peace. Unfortunately, Warriors for Peace also has had a lot of screen time tonight.
I think it was more like Warriors for Anarchy or something for tonight's race.
No, they're good people.
No, Warriors for Peace, right? They've sponsored Elite for a long time.
okay, so let's reset where we have
Do we
one
have
more
to?
for the record, or one more to tie
Sure.
the record. How much time do we
One
have
more
left?
time. It's a great question.
We've got 16 minutes. We're
16
good.
minutes. We're okay on
baby.
time.
Oh, baby.
We have all 3 green, white checkered still in our pocket.
Well, they might as well go out and get the record for most cautions in an Elite race, right? I mean, at this point, we've been here long enough. They might as well go get the record.
No one will remember the second long.
Dave, pop in the driver's chat and tell them to wreck a couple times more times for us, just so we know that this was the race of all time.
Run it up, Herm. Leave no doubt.
I'll send Ray Bracey a message, get him to go on a cruise missile launch here.
We want 32.
Remember the Titans also too old of a reference? Can I get a
I
ruling on?
hope not. You got to show that one to the kids.
Oh man.
Maybe Indiana Jones too. Yeah. Tate Lytle and Gavin Hibbs are on the front row still. Chris Wright's ascended to 4th. I don't know when that happened. David Tooker's up to 5th. We'll get the results later. Green flag is back out. Tate Lytle with another big jump. Tyler Fode's going to try to work to the inside of Gavin Hibbs. They're 3 wide in midfield. We're looking good for that caution flag. There it is. Scott Crump into the wall on the back straightaway.
Thank you, Mr.
Rucker's
Crump.
in it. Ray Bracey is in it. Scott Crump just got hit again. This is a cry for help.
My iRacing is
tied the
saying I
record.
quit.
No, we didn't have cut straight to the 64 car.
Is he in it again?
Spoiler. Oh, he gets the worst of this one, except for maybe
Not even
Crump.
his fault.
Oh, and there goes out of the top 10 too goes Rucker. There's Ray Bracey getting smashed into. Massey smashed into. Oh, Jordan Owens dodges to the inside.
It's a third
boy.
caution or a third tally.
This will be our second green-white checkered attempt.
No, we got 2 more, baby. We got 2 more. Let's go. There's the third tally on Scott Crump. You're not supposed to be able to get that many.
He's done now.
He's done now. He finishes last in the straight. Does he also get suspended?
I'm not that familiar with the rule book. I gotta be honest. I never thought we'd get to this.
Robert can look that up. He's got time.
Oh, yes. Please let us know, Robert, what the punishment is for picking up 3 tallies in a race. Good heavens.
Good heavens, indeed.
Well, we're going to get to talk to Tate. We might have to limit the interview questions. I'm thinking we're going to do one question, and then
There's no. How'd your race go? You paced behind the pace car. Tell us who to thank and leave. That's not nice.
What we learned
That's
Sunday
not
is when the session times out, it goes to a black screen. I can't show graphics anymore, so that's.
Oh well.
They can still hear
all right.
us, but I'll just put something up to say we're still here. I'll get that started.
Technical difficulties screen.
All right. Tate Lytle leading. He's been leading for a while. We haven't hit him second. He's been running second for a while. Tyler Fode is third. Chris Wright's fourth. David Tooker's fifth. Nick Delicato's sixth. Ryan Gable is seventh. I don't know how that's possible. Matthew Weeks is eighth. Justin Vandermarl has been sideways on the front straightaway like 3 different times. He's ninth. Frey Holmes went to the back twice. He's 10th. Ethan Stanley's been wrecked twice. 3 times maybe. He's 11th. I don't know what's going on anymore. Johnny Thomas is 12th. He was a lap down at one point. Nick Massey's 13th. He's been backwards. Ray Bracey's 14th. He was just in that wreck. Jonathan Cutlip, I think, had the most adventurous night of anybody. He's chilling in 15th. Mark Urbilas is 16th. Justin Fortner is somehow running 17th. I'm pretty sure that's the most damaged car of any. And 3 tallies is a 20-point penalty per Robert Hill.
Thank you, Robert.
Green-white checkered attempt number 2.
There we go. 20-point penalty per Robert there, Zach. Tate Lytle into the restart zone. Maybe for the final time, he gets another decent jump. That's not as good as the ones he's gotten previously. Gavin Hibbs is going to stuff it up the outside lane. Can he make a move on the 56? Here he comes, Gavin Hibbs. He's got a chance.
Can they make it to the white flag?
They can. They do. We'll only tie the record. Here comes Gavin Hibbs up the outside lane. He's got one opportunity. Can he get the outside working? Tate Lytle and Gavin Hibbs side by side down the back straightaway. For the final time into 3, does Gavin Hibbs have enough? He will not. Tate Lytle wins at Martinsville. That was about the best 2 laps we had all night.
That was good stuff. Gavin Hibbs putting up the fight on the outside, but ultimately Tate Lytle getting it done.
Tate Lytle, very tough to pass. Just one of the faster guys out here. Very good result for Tate Lytle. Another win to bank in the book. Tyler Fode's going to be charging in after the points lead, and the guys finally kept it clean. It's about dang time they managed to do that.
Did Gavin Hibbs finish with 0?
Did Gavin Hibbs finish with 0x? He should get bonus points if he did.
Oh,
He
there
did.
goes Tate goes around.
There's one more. There's one more. Why not?
I've seen too much of this. Now I have PTSD from cars getting looped. Yeah, Gavin Hibbs finishes with 0 incident points.
Did Tate Lytle just get beached on the curb?
Close.
Almost.
That would have been a capper.
Oh man.
The tied for second in incident points were Tate Lytle, Tyler Fody, and Johnny Thomas, all with 8 incident points each. Everybody else was up over double digits. Let's talk to Tyler Fody.
Let's talk to anyone.
If anyone ever
Quickly.
watches this back, I'll give him $1.
Let's talk to Tyler Fody. Hey, Tyler, how was pacing behind the pace car?
Yes.
Excellent. Do you have anybody to
That
thank?
sums it up.
Yes, everyone.
And what do you think about the playoffs? It's going to be pretty good?
Oh, yes. There's no Martinsville in it.
It's
Sounds
hard to argue with
good.
that logic, Tyler.
That seems like a perfect interview.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks, Tyler. Have a good night, buddy.
Oh God.
That was perfect.
Oh man. And now we wait for second place to show up.
Who is that?
There's your
Gavin
result.
Hibbs.
Tate Lytle, Gavin Hibbs, Tyler Fody, David Tooker, Chris Wright, Nick and Delicato. This isn't funny. This is just the top 10. Ryan Gable coming home 7th, Matthew Weeks 8th, Justin Vandermeer 9th, Trey Holmes 10th. We will now bring in Gavin Hibbs. Gavin, your thoughts on tonight?
Yeah, it's very rough race going there, you know. Not a lot of green flag laps.
No one can blame you for any of this. You were clean.
Oh,
Yep. You were the only 0x there, Gavin. The only one.
yeah, I think that's a bigger accomplishment than second place at Martinsville. That's for sure. But yeah, I just wish we had a little bit more green flag laps. I felt like I could have gotten Tate on a green there in the middle of a run, but you know, congrats to Tate, man. He drove his heart out there in those last I want to say 75 laps. But congrats to him and Pro Edge guys for another win.
Any shout outs here, Gavin, before we send you off? And yeah.
Yeah, obviously my sponsors, Hibbs Designs and Numbers by Joe. You know, we've been getting a little bit better. Just need to be more consistent as the stretch goes on. Now needing a win to make the playoffs. And lastly, Shift Esports. You know, Seth, Nick, and Ty. You know, for Seth and Ty, rough race for them, but glad to see that their spirits are still up. And congrats to Nick on a 6th place finish as well.
Well, we appreciate it, Gavin. Good luck the rest of the way. We know you've been hunting a win, but you came up just short, but you gave it a good run, and you came away with 0x, so definitely a proud night for you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
There's second place finish for Gavin Hibbs, and let's grab race winner Tate Lytle. Tate, we'll ask what we've been asking everybody. What'd you think of all that?
Hold on. I can't
He's
hear.
speechless.
I
Yeah,
can't
he's
hear.
speechless.
Chris Wright is loud. All right, go ahead.
Yes, that's given.
What'd you think of all that?
That sucked. Yeah, that was terrible. Probably think about the same thing you guys think. That was awful. So, yeah, I don't know. Glad we won out of it. I guess at least that, you know, I feel the best out of it probably than anybody, but it's still not good. And I agree we should never go to that track again.
Yeah. Any thoughts for the playoffs here coming up? I know you've got a couple of wins now. You're pretty well locked. Planning on making a run for number 4?
I mean, obviously gonna do my best. It comes down to one track, and I think that track's Richmond. So I don't know. Richmond seems like a terrible track for that. But I mean, I guess someone has to. I'm proud that does good things for the playoff points. I think the 2 wins locks me in as long as I make one of the last 2 races. I think I'm gonna miss next week though, because I gotta go to an important event out of town. So yeah, I'll probably be one of the last seeds, especially after losing all those points at Bristol. But yeah, shout out to Days Gone By, Brent Wentz, for putting his logo on the car for like the 10th straight season. I didn't even send the link to my dad tonight because I knew this race was gonna be like this, and I didn't think he needed to do that to himself. So no shout out to him quite tonight because he's not watching. But if you're still watching, if you're still watching, you need to get help. Like get help. But if you're still watching, thanks for watching. And yeah, hopefully next week at Iowa, like I said, I probably won't be here, but hopefully the field can do a little bit better than that.
Tate, if I'm looking at the numbers correctly, this is your 15th win in the Elite Cup Series. Out of those 15, where does this rank?
Probably. Hold on, let me think. So this is an interesting stat. This is my 15th win, and I've never won twice at a track. So this is the 15th different track. This is definitely down there. I'm trying to think if there's one that is worse, and nothing's really ringing a bell. So yeah, this is probably 15th.
Shocking. Well, thanks for everything there, Tate, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again here in the next couple of weeks, if not next week. And enjoy your week off after all that.
Yeah, I will. It'll be by this time next week. I won't even care what they're doing at Iowa. I will probably be starting that'll be like my first day of like a 5-day bender, and it's gonna be a good time.
Sounds good. Well, we'll talk to you the next time you are at one of these elite races, and have a good night, Tate. Enjoy your win.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Out goes Tate Lytle, and out we go for the RevLimit Workshop 250. I'm not even giving any final thoughts. We're sending it off.
No, I have no thoughts.
No thoughts. Only tired. For David Westergreen, David Huckleberry, Zach Evans, that was Martinsville. We'll see you next week at Iowa. Hopefully it won't be